boys are back in pod. The boys are back in pod.
Yes. See, now we got to finish up this conversation.
Which one?
Because I always said don't go back in time because you would cause problems and things could happen out of order. That's why I'm going back in time.
The problem is you want if you
hold on. Let me set up the actual discussion.
No, it's better if they know nothing.
No, they have to know because it actually leads to a reason where you guys are trying to find your like convergent points on shit history change, the consequences and shit like that.
Yes.
So what I said was in the pre-production meeting was if Ruthless is successful in his overarching goal of going back in time and stopping the European continents from forming their independent nations, subcontinent, that he would directly have an effect on saving Harambe from that white little demon that fell in his cage.
No, because you can't guarantee that the exact same situation would not happen with just a different ethnicity, or that Harambe, the specific gorilla, the Sabrak gorilla that have died, would have been born in the first place, which leads to the whole you can't go back in time and kill Hitler, because if World War II does not happen in 1939 and happens in 1966, the entirety, we might go to space and we might have already been to space, or we might never end up going there. Nuclear Armageddon might have happened way sooner. You can't, the moment you make one drastic change, it has a ripple effect that you can't predict.
I agree. However, I'll be there with the ability to move backward and forward in time to constantly influence events. And unlike these people that like to say, I want to go back in time and kill Hitler, I'm going back specifically to make sure that there is no Hitler. Not the way you know them.
Invite him into fucking like lost
No. There is no, and Rome goes into the European subcontinent. I'm helping Carthage win the Second Punic War, and it's off. We're done. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
I mean, if you had the ability to go backwards, but the problem is,
I'm going back even further to stop Rome from becoming Rome by it losing to Carthage. Like there is not going to be hey, we're gonna civilize all the fucking mutations in the European subcontinent by making them all Roman citizens. We're not doing that.
But okay, if you have the ability,
I'm going with Hannibal, and we're marching elephants through the entirety of Europe, burning and murdering anything that doesn't have the same skin tone as him or me.
Before you defend the Romans, Alan.
I'm not defending the Romans.
He is about to defend the Romans.
Refuse to defend the Romans. They stole all of Greek mythology. Like, fuck them.
That's all?
Just translated it. They just translated it into Latin.
Okay, if you had the ability to go into two specific points in the distant past and distant future to see the changes, cool. Unless you stop yourself from being born through a series of circumstances.
You're not stopping yourself from being born, but you are fundamentally changing the person you would be because the circumstances will be different. I still exist. I just exist as a different version of me.
You might not be the conqueror, therefore you create a paradox because unless your situation where you're creating a separate timeline. Well, if we're going back to the future, not back to the future, because he erases himself from existence. If you could create a separate timeline, the prime timeline where you come from and everything's normal, and the alternate timeline, then you could just pick wherever the fuck you want to live.
You're going too far. Yeah. I don't think your physical body is what's going back in time. I think your consciousness is going back into something else, somebody else's body. Then, essentially,
how would you dictate what kind of
past lives, bitch?
Not past lives, but
where's my eminence?
Think about it. Your brain is aware of itself, but it is not itself. It's your conscious and subconscious, right?
Mm-hmm. That's based on your brain.
I mean, you go further back, you would just connect yourself back to the supreme consciousness of human beings.
Because what time machine would you be building that it could send you into the consciousness of somebody else?
It's a time machine. We have literally 1,000 different stories.
I've never seen one where it sends you into a different body.
Literally, all of George R. R. Martin's time travel is done by exactly
George R. R. Martin's not time travel.
Yeah,
he's a sci-fi writer. we're not going to get into the whole Game of Thrones is actually a sci-fi story. We'll save that for an entire.
I'm just
Talk
glad
about-
Alan
when
came
Bran
all
the
this way to
Broken
do
does
the podcast.
nothing with his
That's all I
time travel
appreciate.
abilities. That man has time travel abilities and does nothing with them.
Alan, hold door.
That's just a TV show.
I stand. Yeah.
Also, yeah, hold the door. But
Oh my man! Oh my fuck! You have no idea how mad I was. That's the day where it broke for me.
It could be
Where I went
8
from, like, I
years
can't
into this
stand-
podcast, y'all. We're still gonna pluck this string, and he's still gonna go right into it.
Bro,
and
that was like
someone
I
here-
always hated the character, but the hold the door
He's still
episode
going?
was where I became screamingly mad at that character.
he's always
I
been
never
mad
gave
about
a-
this. It's beautiful.
Still mad.
I don't know
It's been
why.
like
The
3
character
years.
looks just like him. I mean, I can't wait to
I
do
will
our
fuck
cosplay.
you up. I'll
Poor
fuck you up,
Dora.
Kathy Bates.
I'm gonna have you on my back and shit, like Luke carrying the Ewok. It's gonna
You
be great.
cannot carry me on your back.
I love it.
I didn't say Yoda because he's way hairier than fucking Yoda. This is definitely
Man,
an
I'll
Ewok.
beat your ass. I got called Yoda for like 2 years.
And also, if we go with the time cop setup, like, yeah, it doesn't matter when I go back. Like, a body of me will always exist in both places. I can't touch the me from the past, or else we become this like paradoxical goo that just dissolves on the floor. But yeah, it's there. Clear.
I like that idea. The universe just cops out. Like, this is too much for us. You did.
Yeah, I don't know. This entirely does depend on whatever the rules of time travel end up being and whether or not it can account for paradoxes. Because if I'm being real here, if time travel does exist, paradoxes don't. Because the universe isn't just gonna randomly explode. Like, that's just not really how
Unless
things
you're
work.
on the timeline where it's about to explode and you haven't reached it yet.
That's that multiversal bullshit. I'm not even touching that.
It's time for the multiverse of madness with Ganja Guru.
No,
Come on,
I am not touching
Or-
multiverse theory.
Alan, hit
Or we
this
go-
DMT and let's travel through portals together.
No.
Or we're dealing with a Futurama situation where there is a formula for non-paradoxical time travel, and you just have to compute it, which they figured out how to do.
But my issue is that
It was fine Peruvian this whole time. That was the answer to this.
But my
Because
issue is that
There is the paradox of Fry being his own grandfather.
that's not a paradox.
That is a hell
In
of a paradox.
Futurama, it is.
No, it's not. It just that was actually the natural progression of the universe. He was always supposed to do it.
I don't know that I'm going to back that one.
I'm gonna back that one up because the fact that
Because
the
his
time-
grandfather literally looks like who he thinks is his grandfather literally looks just like
All
him.
right.
yeah, literally just
So,
looks
here's
just
the
like
thing.
him.
I could back
What's up?
Alan's point on one thing. I didn't think we were going to talk about Futurama, by the way, y'all. But
When you
and
get to
then-
time travel, you have to include Futurama because they use it so
do you
often.
guys remember the Nibbler Society?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they plot him going back in time way before any of the actual main episodes get to it. So it's more later seasons that discuss this. So, you always got that thing with the original fans and people in the later series and people that respect the whole canon. So there is some inconsistencies in it, but essentially the Nibblers put him back in time. And by that same idea, they do say because he did the nasty with his grandma in the pasty, that's their words, not mine. He created this kind of paradox that's allowed him to essentially not be affected by the brainwaves, almost like a super autism almost.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of have to back Alan, that it's kind of preordained that he has to do that because that's one of the reasons he's able to fight.
Right,
the
but
brains.
there still exists a timeline from before they realized sending him back in time would make that work.
That's
No,
true.
no.
If they're-
Was
Yes,
there-
it does.
was
Because
there?
they're multi-universe beings. They would know that.
Yeah, they know that. They literally
Yeah.
know that there's. Yeah, and that's why they were able to do that with him.
Don't you remember
And
he
then they
sends
work.
the mom? Yeah, the mom episode.
Yeah, but my entire thing is that if time travel actually does exist, it always exists in multiple ways. So we technically know time travel does kind of exist to a certain degree.
Oh, my
mostly
favorite
because
was that I don't really like the episode too much, Game of Tones, but that ending of when they send Fry back to see his mom through her subconscious.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty cool use of time travel because essentially he is back in time with her. It's just through a link through the subconscious of being, people with a deep bond with each other. And that's
Yeah.
how they were able to do the connection, which kind of backs up Ruthless' point a little bit that there are multi-universes where he did not do the nasty and the pasty, and that caused the brains to win.
Yeah. But my entire thing will always be is that if a fundamental force in the universe does exist, the universe itself would account for it. Much like how black holes don't destroy the entire universe because the universe is built around it. So if time travel exists, it always has existed.
Yeah, but
If you're
the
dealing with
idea of
wormholes,
but our idea of, if Intin will correct me, I'm sure, of quantum immortality is literally the reason why it's possible time travel exists and we just haven't realized it yet. So quantum immortality, if I'm using the term correctly, and I've forgotten if I am or not, is basically every other decision that you could have made to this point that would have killed you is why you are functionally immortal currently.
you mean my theory for I'm immortal because I haven't died yet?
Well, it essentially boils down to that. Yes, like at a certain point, you make the decision that's going to kill you. You have no idea what that decision is, and it could be anything so much as breathing in 1 second versus another. Second.
All right. So you explain that again to me, because look,
okay,
explain that to me, because
every moment that you are alive, every single moment, there is a decision made that kills you instantly. However, in your life, you have constantly made the decisions until the one that kills you that keeps you from dying. And because of that, you are functionally immortal, because there exists a divergent multiverse location where every single thing killed you.
So that time that when I was 5 and I ran out in front of the truck, if I would have ran out.
Even smaller than that. That time where you woke up 5 minutes later, dead. That time where you didn't brush your teeth, dead. That time where you ate toast instead of bacon, dead. Like everything that you have lived through, every millisecond you've lived through, in some other universe, you died in that millisecond.
I hate to say this on a podcast, but fuck it. I want to be honest with our listeners and future generations that have to deal with my bullshit.
Also, and I'm not high saying this, people.
He's not. He's a sober one here. But I've always had that theory because your boy has partied pretty hard. Harder than normal human beings that possibly should have pushed their blood pressure, serotonin levels, liver, kidneys, you name all the organs that are supposed to keep you alive, right?
All of them?
All of them.
Say all of them.
So at a certain point, all of them have took a beating either separately.
Your appendix is kind of useful.
Or at the same time, they've been jumped. So at one point in time, I thought, man, I should have probably died. You're telling me there's a multiverse universe with that? Yeah, I ate it. That was the decision that made it. That's creepy and just very. I mean, that's scarier than the clone thing.
I've always made a joke that I'm immortal because I haven't died yet. I know that was an actual theory, but to bring on to your point of the multiverse, something I don't want to goddamn fucking touch is the every choice generates a new universe. That is some stupid fucking bullshit. I hate that goddamn theory because that theory is unbelievably dumb. Because I'm sorry, but it's basically saying you as a singular point. If you make a decision to go left or to go right, there's a multiverse in which you fucking went left or right. The problem is that creates a branching point. You do it again, it creates branching points and branching points. Yeah. Look up a nuclear fucking reaction about to explode. It's the exact same goddamn progression.
What do you think? What do you think a Big Bang is?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
What? Why do you think we came all this way?
We don't know that the Big Bang.
Yes, Alan, when you had your shirt off at EDC talking to Jesus Christ, our Savior, Black Jesus himself, right?
It wasn't black.
He should have been fucking up.
Did you see Slink? I was say you saw Slink Johnson as well.
No. Dude, it was a being of pure light. So he didn't have a.
But he knew it was Jesus though, so I'm putting Slink Johnson.
I asked him. You see a being of pure light, you're gonna ask him, who are you?
Who you need in this moment? That dude next to you is your cool friend, but he drugged you way harder than he should have done.
See, I've always the multiverse, but the Big Bang does make a little bit of sense. I have my own actual theory.
Oh, what's really gonna fuck with you is that's probably why the theory is actually true, because in order for you to have the energy to not have made a decision that kills you and destroys the universe, because again, it's not just that you die, it's that the universe fucking explodes. That's where the idea of black holes might actually come from. That's just a gateway to another multiverse where a different thing happened. Because there is no inverse to a black hole.
Not yet.
But it should be observable.
We haven't been able to observe.
So I know we're still joking. We made the drug joke earlier, but I have to ask now. especially now that I live in Colorado, where we passed Prop 122, so I can say this very safely in my apartment in this beautiful state, Rocky Mountain State. So when I hit that DMT, and I go see that warp tunnel and shit, and I'm being pulled into essentially like Alan, you'll see this when you come visit me. But when I get pulled into basically the hyperspace tunnel, are you telling me that I might be experiencing another sub-universe consciousness?
Yeah.
I mean,
what's gonna fry your brain?
Fucking else.
What's gonna fry your brain about that is it may be, in fact, why we have to sleep.
I wrote a story.
All right, all right. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is now coming back up.
Okay, as much as that movie sucks, I love their explanation for the multiverse of your dreams are just different variations of the multiverse.
I have this constant recurring dream where this ganja is really bad and really up to very nefarious shit. And when I check up in on him, it's just an anxiety trip throughout it. And it always feels too real. It's one of those like very close dreams of borderline and on what do they call it? The other realm of sleep, REM sleep, or the where you start to
well, no, REM sleep is in your dream.
No, but the other level of dream where they talk where you don't believe in it. What is it fucking called?
Oh, lucid dreaming.
Yeah, lucid dreaming. So essentially what they call lucid dreaming.
I don't believe in lucid dreaming. I'll go into that rant.
See, I'm not really aware who I am.
Because I'm very hyper aware in my dreams.
So there's two things. When it comes to
ironically, I can't fly anymore in dreams because of that. But that's
all. I do that all the time. That's the first thing. I mean, my thing about lucid dreaming is the reason I don't believe it. Okay, the reason I don't believe in lucid dreaming is not that I don't believe that your dreams cannot be controlled. Is that I don't believe you actually have that control. Your brain just makes you think you have that control, and your subconscious kind of does the random bullshit you want to do anyway. But it's not actual consciousness. It's do you think it's consciousness? So
back
you're
to
dreaming
DMT.
that you think you're awake.
So back to DMT.
But I don't actually like. It's not a situation. It's not like Inception where it's like, oh, I can now literally do whatever I want. It's like, no, your brain is doing shit, and you think that that's what you want to do.
It's just your cognitive abilities being available to your subconscious.
Yeah, and your subconscious is random and just kind of like it's like intrusive thoughts as just doing whatever, like random bullshit. Like you're walking down the street, like, what if I accidentally got hit by a car? Or what if I just punched this random person?
But every time when I'm asleep,
random assault, right?
Yeah, before I realize that I'm actually asleep and dreaming, there's a point where I'm just experiencing the dream, and then there's a point where I essentially awake, we'll say, in the dream, and realize, okay, I'm dreaming, and then just do stuff. Happens every night. So I can remember some dreams from as far as, good God, 30 years ago.
Oh, I've gotten a good habit of writing down my dreams immediately for what I can remember.
These are not written down. I have a dream I remember from when I was 7.
Damn.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah.
I told Sky this one, so if he ever listens to this episode, he'll laugh his ass off. But so y'all know about Native Americans and dream catchers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So throughout a kid, growing up in the community and shit, they always had a dream catcher in my room. But one day, I guess it got old. Eventually, just rotted away, so it fell apart. So before I was able to get a new one, it was like a couple of days, maybe a week. I was sleeping in my bed and I'd have a dream catcher, right? I had wet dreams that whole week, yo. I had been like 14, right? So
we don't need to hear that.
No, okay, let me finish like I did in those dreams.
No, we're not gonna let you finish. No. Put that thing away. Damn it.
Look, when I got that dream catcher and I went to sleep and your boy had no wet dreams, that bitch got thrown out the fucking window. I was like, hey man, you're supposed to catch nightmares and evil spirits and shit. Motherfucker over here catching the succubuses too. Fuck that. I'll be at risk. I'll put myself in danger. It's all right.
Okay. Yeah, and Gene's basically just kind of talking about the stuff. Gene in the chat is basically talking about the whole dreams being different multiverses and stuff like that. I actually did straight up, like, it's something I'm actually kind of currently working on. I did write a full story about that idea of dreams being a different universe you end up going to. When I definitely get some more work into that, I'll let you guys know. But
I think I told you guys about the series that I was doing. It's vignettes. It's a screenplay, but it's 4 vignettes called Other Side of Town.
Yeah.
And then one of them is the guy who's develops this drug and he can't tell whether he's like awake, asleep and dreaming, or high on the new drug. And so at some point he just decides to live in whichever one he actually believes.
Yeah.
Like when Alan decided to take a picture of a picture. A hallucination.
The picture's moving.
Okay.
I'm going to take a photo of it.
No, because I couldn't tell. I was looking
I'm
at it.
going to prove it's moving. Look.
Image. Okay. This was going through my head. I saw this image on the wall, and I couldn't tell if it was a 3D. At one point, I was blitzed out of my mind. I couldn't tell if it was a 3D image, because sometimes we'll have those 3D things you look to the side. So my thought was, if I took a photo of it, then I could know from a different angle if it was 3D image or not. But then I realized an image is 2D no matter what. So I should have taken a video, because then I would have been able to tell.
That's what he was thinking. What he said to us was, I think that picture's moving. Let me take a... Hey, what picture? What picture, bro? That one. Hold on. And takes his phone out and two-hand takes a photo of it. And it says, see the pictures.
No, we're not gonna start off how it started off, where we were sitting watching Sabrina season 1. Season 1 just dropped, maybe a day.
The first episode. The first
episode, and we're chilling, and I'm like, wow, this is a great show, yada yada. I turned to Ruthless, I'm like, hey, how many episodes we in? He looks back. It's been 20 minutes. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm here 3 hours.
Here's the thing, y'all. We were in a decriminalized state when we did this. So we did some mushrooms together, me and Alan.
Yep.
And this boy here, we did them, right? And Ruthless was present for this. I kind of fucked him up. I don't need to. I now learned more about the substance. This is one of the reasons I'm glad Prop 122, again, I'm gonna drop it again for legal reasons, was passed, was because it's going to allow us to research these drugs more and get a better understanding on dosage, usage, different body types, and how it affects people. All that good shit, right? Well, back in the old day when I was in middle school, they used to tell you had to eat the whole eighth to feel anything. So when I bought that quarter of mushrooms and I broke that down between me and you, I thought we were just getting a normal buzz. I didn't think I was doing Terrence McKenna level doses with you.
Now, what he leaves out about this, good people, is he was also out of his fucking mind, because we were later in a Walgreens and he was trying to start the revolution over a bottle of fucking orange juice.
Look, man,
how about this? That Ganja's a fucking
outdoor
cat.
Folks, this is before the movie came out with the Joker saying, "We live in a society." I literally looked at him and said, "Dude, we live in society."
He never says it in the movie.
He never.
He doesn't even say it in the comics. George Costanza says it.
So, yeah, that was the thing that happened. He then saw marks in a towel.
I did.
No.
At one point, I closed my eyes and I saw the hammer and sickles, but they're the dancing bears from the Grateful Dead, all changing colors and shit, and going back and forth.
I had to stop them from starting a second revolution by destroying Wells Fargo.
Yeah,
Wells Fargo.
I remember that dialogue.
I remember this story. Ruthless had to tell me this because I have a personal vendetta against Wells Fargo for no real reason. I've never been in there.
I was a little lucid when I said this. I was mostly fucking around, and I knew you were deep in it, so I want to see what you said. So I was like, "Hey, Alan, yeah, want to go burn some banks?" Only if it's Wells Fargo. I felt like, by the way, I felt like a little kid on a road trip with their favorite teacher, by the way, because you stopped us in our tracks real quick, y'all not doing that. While driving, by the way. Y'all not doing that.
But that's a brilliant idea of, hey, these guys probably need food. Yeah, they can deal with commerce.
No. We got to the studio, and then everybody's like, yo, we're hungry. We should go get something to eat. And we're like, well, what's close? And
we're in fucking Texas. It's Whataburger.
Yeah, and so Whataburger was the closest thing we could get something to eat and not miss the show that we were all going to be on. So, which is important to the story.
Oh yeah, we were doing this before studio time, y'all.
Yeah, so they pile everyone into the car I'd rented to drive around down there. The only other sober person is in the front seat with me. I'm sorry, Henry was sober. Henry was sober.
There's only me and Ganja. There's like 5 people in my car.
The problem was he was like all the way. He was behind the passenger seat. It was just him, Ganja, Ali, and then the other and behind me. So we get to Whataburger, and of course they can order, but they have no concept of one, taking their drinks, two, handing their money to the damn drive-through cashier.
I thought communism won for a second there, Rufus. I'm sorry.
Because Ganja's like, Ganja turns to me. For some fucking reason, Ganja turns to me.
They just keep staring at this woman.
So Ganja turns to me. It tells me, hey, you deal with it. I'm like, I just couldn't tell him to go fuck himself because I was too fucking into it. So I just handed her a 20 and hope it was enough. Just keep the change. I don't know what the fuck. I'm pretty sure I gave her like a $4 tip or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I didn't even eat the food, by the way.
Oh, you did? You did?
No,
you did.
I had like 3 fries. I remember specifically because I kept dazing out. I didn't want to choke on my food because every time I was waking up, I'd have like mushed fries in my mouth because I was not.
That's because that was after you took a couple bites of the burger.
Yeah,
I don't even remember that.
I remember this.
Yeah, we were
because we were forcing that down your throat to help. Because we were like, "Hey, you're lasting a little too long. I'm back in reality already. What's going on here? You need to eat."
Like, yeah, you burned through this shit. I was like the first time.
I was about to go walk to the 7-Eleven and get some milk.
Yeah, thankfully he was back in time to do the show, and the show went well for the most part, except he kept leaning back from the microphone.
Well, again, for people that want to know my mic setup, I actually have a Yeti mic that's literally right beside me. So me talking forward is whatever, and almost no matter where I am in the room, it picks it up pretty well. To the extent where I can be far away, so I'm very animated. I move back a lot. I move a lot when I talk.
You talk with your hands.
Having a fucking mic that's supposed to be right up to my goddamn face, I can't do that shit because I'm gonna be moving back a lot. But I want to point out, like, mid-show, I'm doing my thing. So the eyes they're trying to fucking give me, I ain't paying attention. I'm doing my thing.
What about the time where I just push your head towards the mic and you just like look like you're ready to start?
I moved back because
we literally would like move the mic closer to him and he would pull away farther.
Because that's how I talk.
He was afraid that mic that was going to cause the trip to happen again and shit. Like if I get too close, I'm going to go back to mushrooms.
I wanted like a giant card to just hold up, be like, stop moving away from the mic.
I can't do that. Next time, if I ever deal with one of those mics, I'm either gonna hold the thing the whole goddamn fucking time, or hopefully deal with a mic that can just let me.
My favorite was that one toasty you pissed off that day, because y'all don't know something. Me and all of us dressed up like the boys from Fear in Las Vegas. Matter of fact, if y'all could send me the picture real quick, I'll pull it up for people to see it.
Yeah, I got it.
But we dressed up like Fear in Las Vegas, and we're gonna get to the topics after this. But man, Alan partied, y'all, like a motherfucker. You don't understand. Like, I woke him up, threw a Terrence McKenna dose of mushrooms at him. He ate that shit. We tripped for a goddamn 6 hours, maybe even longer.
6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
It was about 6.
So I wasn't ready for that. I was thinking 4, 3 at the most. I was wrong.
Yeah.
And your boy not only went and partied with me early in the morning, did a podcast. He then got dressed up in our Halloween outfit I'm showing right here at the bottom as the Fear and Logan Vegas people. You know, I'm over there like Dr. Gonzo. He's out there as Thompson Ruthless, and our boy here is Spider-Man.
Wow, Duke.
But so he eats the mushrooms. We go do a podcast. And while we do the podcast, we finish. We end up going back to the apartment, getting dressed in our Halloween costumes. He then eats about, 50 milligrams of edibles?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He ate a 50 milligram edible capsule pill. Then we went to the party and he had 2 shots.
Oh, God, those kill me. Well, because I realized I was up for
12
20
o'clock
hours
at night,
straight.
y'all. It's 12 o'clock at night. It's been almost 8 hours of him just nonstop partying. By the time I see him in the corner with his head down, I'm like, hey, you good? I can't. No, I got you. I'm tired. I know you want to hang out.
Dead tired.
But I my brain done, dog. My brain done broke. Oh, that's great though.
I was almost fine the next day.
He then finds me and is like, yo, you got it. I gotta take Alan back home, man. He's not doing it. I was like, it's fine, bro. We're gonna go to Magnolia. And we meet up over there. because we kept going. Like the night was not done.
It was for me because I was like, I was up for 20 hours straight, and I'm like, I can't even keep my head up.
My favorite, hands down, was that Toasty. We told about that. And he was like, man, Alan don't party harder than me. That's bullshit. And he's going to end up shooting.
Okay.
So basically, if he tries to compete with you at this point, we're going to catch him at the next like party or next social event.
Do crack.
He's just going to be there being a straight up, hero and brave motherfucker, just lighting up the torch.
Lighting up the torch. Man's going to burn himself up.
Oh, so
he's going to smoke crack and then shoot up heroin. That's what's going to happen.
Look. Al says he party hard. I party harder, bro. Watch me base.
Oh, by the way, kids, don't smoke crack. Don't shoot up heroin and then smoke crack. That's a good way to make your heart explode.
Yeah.
He's trying to out party you. That's his goal.
Nah, you're not going to get superpowers. You're not going to see the future. This isn't fucking Heroes.
But,
I can see the future.
Oh, what happened here? No. Everything was so good. It was perfect. It was beautiful, I swear. Where'd y'all go?
I mean, you switched scenes, bro.
I know, but I had y'all images. Now they're gone. Give me a second, please. There you go. Got Rufus back. There you go. Put him in his right place. Sometimes you gotta do some technical shit live. That's why we gotta get us some editors. So y'all that watch the clips don't know when this happens.
And we're working on that. So
yeah, we got two monkeys and a typewriter. It's gonna be great.
Might not want to
insult the future talent,
or even the current talent.
Wait, are you what?
The monkey reference.
The monkey reference.
I was making a joke towards the typewriters.
Can't do that, bro. At this point, even you can't even just say the word monkey anymore, man.
Fuck, I'm out.
The whole animals.
I'm out then. Fuck it. Look, as an indigenous creature, I apologize.
There we go. He saved it.
There you go. Also, totally unrelated. I watched a video that has terrified me of all primates forever.
What happened?
Basically, a woman's husband and her raised a chimpanzee that they let go back to a wildlife reserve. He was an ex-race car driver, and they went to go celebrate with the chimps for his birthday. Ooh. And two other chimps escaped from the enclosure. Apparently, if you give food to a primate, they see that as like you being weaker than that primate, and so seeing the couple give food to this chimp, the two chimps basically saw them as weaklings and went to go get more food. Well, they bit the thumb off of the wife. Ooh. The husband stood between the wife and the chimps then after that because he didn't realize what was happening until that moment. And then they tore his face off. Ooh. Along with lots of other injuries, including one of his eyes.
Did they go for the testicles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they ripped them sons of bitches right off.
All right, here's the thing. If I ever have to travel where there's large primates about, I'm carrying a 35. This is how it's going to be solved.
Shit. I'm carrying an SMG of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you better open fire just immediately because motherfuckers are fast and strong.
Not fast.
And I want to point out,
I'm not playing games with these.
Yeah. Just open fire. But I want to point out, you better empty that clip because they can take a lot of rounds.
I would like to thank our comrades from Mother Russia for the wonderful AK-47 that's going to make me survive that situation.
NATO approved ammunition, by the way.
You better hope so.
Shit, I ain't playing games.
Shit, and neither are they, man.
I'm not showing with AR-15 out here. We're going big caliber.
This is like a human.
Big guns, baby.
Take one bullet in the central torso, and that's it. That's done.
Oh, you think it's just one bullet? You empty the clip on that.
So that's what I mean. You better make sure because
clips.
Especially if you've gone through the 38, you better fucking make sure that's just
38. I said fucking Smith & Wesson, son.
Man, you said a 38.
No, he didn't say 38.
No,
he said 38. Jamie, pull back the clip. Can we get someone named Jamie?
No, absolutely not.
I'm gonna start calling one of our editors Jamie now.
Can we?
I already know who I'm gonna do it to because they're the only ones that are gonna get the reference.
Yeah, fair enough.
True.
Pull up the video.
Pull up the video, Jamie. And it's not Jamie. Right now it is Jamie. But speaking of pulling up,
Yeah.
so imagine if y'all like spent like thousands of dollars, right, to go see your favorite sport. It's beautiful. You gotta stay there. You got
Trip of a
visas.
lifetime.
Man, it's one of the biggest games ever.
In one of the richest nations on earth.
Mm-hmm. You get there, right? And that motherfucker is serving you burgers that look like this, y'all.
Look, as a Canadian, and anybody listening that's Canadian, I've seen shittier burgers. Go to the Toronto Pearson Airport and go to the fucking Wahlburgers. Ugh. That's what you're eating.
See, that's because there's racism in that burger.
Also, who makes a burger without ketchup on it?
You know, there are a lot of burgers that don't have ketchup. It's just
and they're wrong.
If you make a steakhouse burger, you don't really make it with ketchup.
You're supposed to either put barbecue sauce or something like.
You know, they can suck my dick.
Hey, after this one time, man, I went to a side note real quick. Just come, I'm having a fat boy moment, and y'all should go try this if you get a chance.
Real quick though. Stack, hey, what's up, Afternoon Tune? We'll see
what's up?
Hey, what up, Afternoon Tune? You might get a good suggestion on this food I'm about to give you. If y'all ever get a chance to get like a good sirloin burger or like one of those top shelf meat cut ones, and get the crispy onions with the barbecue sauce on that bitch, and then you get the I don't know if it's whole wheat, but it's the darker bread with the sesame seeds on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Whole grain or
I think it might be whole grain. You find a place that does something like that. That you would never eat fast food again.
That's a steakhouse burger.
Yeah. A real steakhouse burger. Some places they say they make it. Burger King be lying and shit. Don't try that. You got to go to a real place that does that. But back to the story of Qatar, and clearly these 5-week-old Wendy's they shipped out to them.
Wendy's uses a different bun. Wendy's has some quality to it.
Not after fucking 6 weeks, it don't.
Fair enough.
But I got a question for you, gentlemen. As proud Americans here and a Canadian citizen who might care, I know I'm just going to go out on a limb and say we don't really care about soccer that much.
In fact, we don't care about football either.
We know.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, some of you do.
I'm going to be 100%.
I've never seen a CFL game that didn't have a good sized crowd at it.
I'm just gonna be real. I think soccer / football is the second most the most boring sport ever. I'm sorry, I don't give
more than croquet.
Flying fuck.
Nah,
more boring than golf. Even though golf,
cricket's the most boring.
I've never seen a game of cricket.
What about shuffleboard? That's pretty fucking boring if you don't got a fun group to play with.
Look, top 3. Fuck it.
Think about it. You've seen soccer. You literally just said you've never seen cricket. That's how boring cricket is.
That's because, look, man, colonization is not going to be that strong.
I was just about to say, man, as a proud Canadian citizen of her queen.
Colonization is not going to be strong enough to get me to sit through a fucking cricket game. But soccer is
right,
I'm sorry. I tried to fucking sit down. Like, this is years ago. Fucking last, 3 or 4 fucking FIFAs ago. It's like this 2-kilometer long fucking field with nets the size of, a fucking, RV. And you see the score 0-0, and it goes for, 4 hours. You're just like, no one has scored.
90 minutes. It's 90
still
minutes.
Too long. It feels like 4 hours. I sat there going, no one's. It's just.
I didn't think the Canadian was going to be the hardest one on soccer in this episode. I'll be honest with you.
Which is funny because it's like
they're passing it back and forth, and no one's really getting anything. And no wonder everyone cheers because oh my god, something happened.
It's like two shy boys trying to hit on a girl. Nothing's happening. But they're trying. There's a lot of effort.
For the record, you ain't shit for that one. You know why.
Hey, man. I'm listening to your Toxic Tuesdays. That's my problem.
Hey, shout out to Toxic Culture Tuesday. I will be making up for missing on Tuesday, folks. Don't worry. Let's just say it's a rough day at my appointments on Tuesdays every once in a while. So.
But am I not wrong or right about that? That's the base of the situation.
I mean, all right. So here's the thing about soccer. I'm a big fan.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. Soccer is what hockey wishes it was.
Even with the fights?
Yeah, because the hockey fights are because of how boring it is.
I can't defend that. Yeah, you're right.
Think about it. They were like, hey, we're going to take the most technically difficult thing to do, ice skate.
Sure.
And then we're going to try to put field hockey on it. And then we're going to have people race around at top speed and try to aim at a net. The difficulty should be a thing, and there should be a lot more injuries. But the average hockey score is like 2 points, 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
They had to add shootouts to make people care.
Really? I thought that was part of the original sport.
No.
Oh, you just taught me something. Shit.
And all hockey is just trying to be ice basketball. And it doesn't work. Because basketball scores often.
I'm gonna be real. I'm just one of those people. I just think watching sports is kind of boring. Except for basketball. Surprisingly enough, it's just I think basketball is what soccer wishes it could be.
Hey, look, there ain't nothing cooler than when someone catches an elbow. That shit's great.
It's just because the basketball is like they looked at soccer and went, what if we, I don't know, just try to make this better in every conceivable way? We shrunk the size of the goddamn court. We actually made it so that it looks like it requires a lot more skill. I say it looks like because I don't know the fucking skill it requires to shoot a goddamn to kick a fucking football into a net. I'm not gonna pretend to, but at least it looks like it's a lot more interesting.
Surprisingly, it's a lot of math. Like you need to actually measure out how much pressure you're putting on the ball, where you're kicking from, whether it's your actual pointed toe up onto the laces, side of the foot, weak side of the foot, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But basketball is essentially a way to do the cardio and exertion of a football or a soccer indoors, because that's why Naismith came up with it. It's a way to do things indoors for gymnastic activity, for physical education. That's the whole point. That's why it started. Soccer, on the other hand, is an English creation where
they're bad.
The English came up with golf. Like soccer makes sense.
Golf is kind of number two because I look, Tiger Woods came in and finally, made it interesting for a good.
He changed the game more ways than one with that sport.
He changed the game, had his own fucking video game about it. I'd never even picked up. I will never in my life buy a sports game. I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck. The closest thing I ever got to would be the Mario sports games, because Mario Strikers and Mario Power Tennis are like the best thing that's ever hit fucking Nintendo consoles. But like, I'll be real here. Who's playing Tiger? Who out here playing Tiger Woods games?
I mean, when I used to go
a lot of people
with my dad, I used to play the arcade machine. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The one with the ball. You used to select your thing, aim a thing, and then you hit the ball to try to get the perfect hit.
Golden Tee.
Yep, that one.
You also name the stream PGA Golf Tour. Man, that was the name of the game. I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck. The only time anyone gave a fuck about golf was Wii fucking golf. That was it. Because they actually got the fucking Wii shit going on. Everyone thought they were a golfer for a good couple of years.
I mean, here's the thing though, and there's no getting around this. You might not like golf, but I guarantee if we take you to Topgolf again, you'll love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I think you'll love it so much you'll send yourself from flying down to the bottom like other people took in there.
My stipulation.
Yo, shut Diz, man.
My stipulation of not liking sports is simply the watching, like sitting with your buddies or family watching it, or playing the video game version of it. If someone throws me a basketball and says, "You want to shoot some hoops?" Yeah, let's go. I'm grabbing my shorts. Or soccer. Yeah, let's fucking go. Actually playing it, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Probably even golf. I mean, I love baseball. I love baseball. I'll never watch it a day in my life, but playing it, fuck yeah, let's go. You're throwing something at me, I got a fucking bat. Let's get this party started. But like,
Freud would say something about the phallic aspect of baseball that probably attracts you to it.
That's more you. I was more with a fast-paced, like quick snap decision. You immediately went to the dicks. That says more about you than me.
I went straight to the bat and the ball, sir.
You want to stroke that big barrel of wood?
Over here looking like what's his name from Black Hammer and shit.
If anyone fucks themselves,
oh damn it!
Yo, the Chat Attack baseball team versus the Black Hammer, yo.
No. Because that's just gonna turn into that fucking scene from goddamn what was it? The fucking Anchorman where everyone just starts fighting.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah. But yeah,
guys, that's bullshit. So, you know I fucking cleared that base. Fuck you. No, fuck you.
It's like, how does this turn into a shootout? Yeah, we both have the same idea. How does this turn into a shootout?
Oh, it was at some point that Kazi put the Joker makeup back on, so you just kind of expected the guns were next, like the
mid.
Over here looking like the baseball furies for fucking the Warriors and shit.
Just turned into that Twilight fucking baseball.
Look, all right. So Alan, no one could get you to watch soccer. No one can get you to watch croquet. None of that shit. All right. So how about building a stadium for the sport for $5 an hour? Does that sound good to you?
They actually paid them?
I don't know. I'm just assuming they paid.
I don't think they did, because this was, by the way, Don Oliver did a fucking fantastic just breakdown on this. Go watch that. I love that fucking show.
When HBO pays us, you can tell them to go watch fucking John Oliver.
Okay,
I don't give a fuck.
So
that man,
fuck y'all go and fuck you.
But like,
hold on.
He goes,
I will answer this so that we don't get in trouble. I will properly answer this. They technically were getting paid to build the stadiums for the World Cup. The problem is, and this goes into what Oliver was talking about, they were also having to deal with expenses for their living there to do so. So essentially it works out to where they never made money. It's like the old company town dodge that Ganja and I were talking about the other day on the show. Yeah.
Which, again, by the way, if you think that slavery has ended around the world, even in America, no, it has not. They just found better ways around it through legalese. And I got something in mind. Yeah. But yeah. You basically put. I just died.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Like I was trying to say, they basically got it. That's why it's like they actually got paid. I'm like, well, legally yes, but if you have a situation where you have to pay for your room and board and food and all that shit, it's like it amounts to absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
essentially, and that's look.
And then they do things like take people's passports and hold them, so they can't leave the country until they paid up.
Which, if you know anything about company towns, ever watched the show or anything, and it's a legal thing, it's like, yeah, most times, depending how shitty the situation is, they end up having to pay them.
Shit, yeah. So, it was sometimes getting worse. People were talking about straight up human trafficking allegations against a lot of these corporations and building firms that were doing these types of construction jobs for the whole FIFA World Cup. But look, I'm not gonna defend Qatar. I'm not one of those crazy tankies.
Qatar, not Knights of the Old Republic.
Exactly that. All right, so I'm not gonna defend all like the royal family, the ultra like capitalist nature of the economy that's built on the oil reserve and the petrodollar, and is essentially a foreign base for the United States. I'm not going to go in that because sometimes they give like pro-Palestine and anti-imperialism rhetoric when they feel like it. But honestly, like, as much as you want to, like, I've seen like people both sides of this where they've gone like, well, Brazil was bad when they did this, Russia was bad, China. Pretty much at this point, anyone that's done the World Cup, including the United States of America, has some shit going on that makes them somewhat a violator of human rights. It was going on back then, all the way back to the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when they really started getting popular and really started getting commercialized. Both FIFA and Olympics. This especially happened in the Olympics. But this kind of has been the current projection for a long time with a lot of these things. So I don't know why people are suddenly now finding a reason to come out of Qatar for it. Because, yeah, it's, it's shitty. And, I'm about to show y'all real quick a beautiful sight in terms of what people were dealing with their living situation as paid visitors, where their cabins were still under construction with building material laid by side of it, and they're still sanding out and doing all this construction work. So
we weren't joking with the title, folks.
No, we weren't. This is the Fire Festival.
This is Fire Festival.
Again, right down to it. Yeah, in case you were wondering, it's Fire Festival. Because, and I just learned this, you can't put FIFA in titles and shit.
Nope.
So we have to be very careful.
Trademark like a motherfucker. But
apparently, and
to finish my point, I get where people are criticizing Qatar. I keep saying Qatar. I gotta get that better. I don't know why I keep saying Qatar. I see a K there, and my mind just goes LucasArts. All right.
No wonder you keep calling it Quebec.
I was taught in Floridian schools. What do you want from me? But
better.
No,
better.
You've seen who our governor is, who future president.
Oh God.
But what I was gonna say is, every country that's hosted any type of these major events has had some kind of guilty association to human rights. And since we're not in the period where a lot of countries can keep this on the down low, any country that hosts a major international sporting event is going to have some kind of criticism thrown against it. Now, again, this is not to delegitimize the criticisms against the state, but it really is kind of like, all right, so y'all are mad about this, like especially like the homophobic thing about this nation. We already know what's going on with the LGBT rights in Middle Eastern countries and most developing worlds. It's a struggle. People are trying to push and progress their societies forward, but like,
yeah, free Brittany Griner, by the way.
Exactly, stuff like that and other things. But like, we just 180'd on a lot of our like progressive ideals on like sexual liberty and freedom of body autonomy. Like, who are we to like really lob criticisms? Like, we still come from the progressive West, quote unquote. And again, this is not to defend these nations. It's more to like, I kind of wish the people that had energy to criticize and go hard on these nations would also do it back home, so we can see possible social progress for us here, rather than just lobbing stones at something that really they have no effect over because they're not part of the system over there, not part of the mechanisms and the society in order to actually prove the change they would want to be.
Well, it's a situation where it's easier to criticize your neighbor than your own household because you're in a situation where you're removed, especially if they're overseas. Why do you think people are so extremely critical of China? And if you bring up any one of their points, you realize their own backyard it could have arguably worse if they were willing to have that debate, but they're not. But they're willing to point at the foreign, at they're different, therefore we can talk about their bullshit. And by the way, like yeah, bring it up. Yeah, the bullshit that people went through is not something that should be scoffed at. And we're not trying to pull whataboutisms, not at all. But it's a situation where it's like this has been a constant problem for essentially the entirety of the existence of this of FIFA. But the worst part is, and this is where my point is going to be, because again, these guys know more about the history. I'm going to more about the future. This is the moment this is done, December, whenever the hell it ends. None of this shit's going to be used. Maybe they'll try to.
That's happened with everything. That's happened with Olympic stadiums. That's happened with soccer games. Hell, I think they did that with the NFL stadium in London, didn't they? Did they finally get a soccer team to adopt it?
There is no NFL stadium in London. It's just they use the same, like, so.
Because I was under the impression they bought that property.
No, that's an NFL owner that owns a stadium.
Okay.
In the UK, I know what you're talking about. What they do is they would use the largest venue, which is usually Wembley, because Wembley has the ability to hold them. So, yeah, no, it's one of those like you kind of got to go with whatever's available venue wise there, and so like they did the Germany game. The Germany game was at Bayern Munich's. I think it was at Bayern Munich's facility, and soccer stadiums are slightly larger than American football stadiums as far as the actual like pitch, so it's easier to just insert there.
And maybe Qatar will herald and try to get different sports or different people to use the stadium, but let's be real, they're probably not. And if there's any sort of cultural differences where the NBA or somebody does not want to deal with Qatar's their culture and their specific like rules against what can and can't be allowed, they're probably not going to use it. So all of that work, all of that labor, all of that paid / unpaid / owing labor is going to be for fucking nothing, because they'll just move on and most of that shit will not be used. All those hotels they built will probably go desolate unless they somehow want to turn themselves to the next Dubai.
Or they'll shut them down, just hold their assets until eventually they can open up again if tourists ever gets to that level, just hold it as a speculative.
It won't be. Because the only thing any tourists are showing by is to go and watch FIFA, which is only once every 4 years.
No, there's not more place to go.
Qatar already has a very high tourism rate before the World Cup got announced.
That's why Penelope's disagreeing with you right now. She wants to go.
Yeah. I will give them credit for that much, because it became in kind of the same way that I guess Abu Dhabi to a degree is probably the other one. That it's not got the Dubai feel, but it's still a major European and Asian tourist destination.
Sure.
No, that they can kind of get foreigners kind of get away with a little bit of stuff there. Don't go testing it, y'all. Don't go testing it, but everyone kind of knows as foreigners you kind of get away with certain things that the locals wouldn't be able to. But it like the biggest complaint I heard, and besides the LGBT stuff, which again valid, but recently in Colorado, my home state here, we had a mass shooting that happened from someone that was one raised by a bigot, and one of the things he was happy about to find out was his son was the shooter and not attendee at the gay bar.
Yeah.
So we have our own
So
problems in this country that we need to deal with when it comes to LGBT plus rights and everything under the spectrum of sexuality. So I can't really go lobbing stones at another country for having the same kind of homophobic like ideals and thoughts, just on a different scale as our Christian nationalists like Nick Fuentes and shit. So I'd rather clean up my own house first before I start criticizing other nations. But it is something to openly criticize in a sense of, yeah, what they're doing is shitty, but it doesn't really negate anyone else. And honestly, this kind of just shows how much of a spectacle a lot of these sports are, rather than actually like any type of idea of goodwill or presenting a progressive idea like they were presented back in the day. They have always been for Coca-Cola products, so don't believe the hype. But like they used to lie about it a little, essentially, and that lie has disappeared now. And honestly, people didn't raise this much of a stink when the PGA was in Saudi Arabia. This like 2 months ago.
Well, that's because the PGA is currently fighting against the Saudi Arabian-backed league, the Live Tour.
Yeah, which is right now trying its best to scope out players and bring people into it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's becoming even a big thing with a lot of people. So
They're saying that they may have offered Tiger Woods close to $1 billion.
don't forget, Ganja, that the shooter grandpa is a MAGA politician from Canada. Look, see,
Yep.
that just adds to my point what Edmonton said in the chat right now. But I look, all criticism towards Qatar with how they treated their migrant workers and all the stuff that's going on there is valid. But I really hate this sense of superiority that I'm seeing from a lot of left wing commentators in the West. That
yeah.
especially if you're in the United States, I really don't want to hear your criticism of another nation. Like if you have that much strength and energy to criticize, I was at a fucking strike this early this afternoon. You maybe should go do it.
See, I understand where you're coming from, Ganja, but at the end of the day, it's like, yes, it's easier to criticize across the sea, and obviously, again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form connected to Qatar and its people, but like,
The
there's
check
at
just
least
cleared.
no, fuck you. But I'm just trying to say that there's a lot of Middle Eastern influence with that city, so it's like, yes, I have to speak on that because again, I am of Middle Eastern descent, and I'll be the first person to criticize a lot of the aspects of my culture that I do not fundamentally agree with in any way, shape, or form. But it's easier to criticize a foreign nation than it is to your own. But at the end of the day, you should still criticize. By criticize, choosing not to fucking watch the fucking sport that has caused so much fucking pain. Like, I'm sorry, like my entire thing of not watching FIFA is mostly because I think it's the most boring goddamn fucking thing in the world. The second thing is after learning about how much bullshit this fucking caused with all of this stuff and the shit people just love to fucking ignore, I'm never gonna fucking sit through or watch or in any way, shape, or form fucking get them any of my money. It's the only thing I can really do. But I'm not gonna fucking like I'm gonna base it up. It's like, yeah, don't if you can find a way to watch it that I having to make sure they get a fucking dime, do whatever it fucking takes. Because it's like
So
this
the
is
problem with
ridiculous.
that
Problem with
is
what?
that is you have to give the situation context. For the average person in these nations, this is the only time that they find themselves thinking positively about their fellow nation members, fellow citizens, however you want to say it. And I'm not talking about this from a US perspective because honestly, we have so many sports we don't give a shit about soccer. But for, on behalf of the country, we care a little bit during World Cup.
Yeah.
In, you know, Central and South America, certainly in Europe and Africa, and obviously, to a degree in, that sort of northern, Russia, Eastern Europe / Asia, but as well as Southeast Asia, there is a big attachment to the sport that goes beyond just, you know, sport. It gets into the communities that have built up around these places, the economies that they support by doing so. And so, yes, I agree. You got to be critical of both the people involved and the sport itself, but let's not lose sight that there are people whose everyday livelihood relies on the World Cup being a thing because they work for whatever, regular concession company, or they work for a hotel or something of that nature. Like, there are people whose lives are impacted by sport. This has always been that's part of the human experience.
Well, it's an ancient one as well.
I understand that, and I don't want to discredit anybody who enjoys this and it brings together their family and country members. I will not want to in any way. I get it 100%. Yeah. But you have to be able to also criticize all the bullshit that's happening, but also understand that the reason it's happening, it's not necessarily it is your fault, but people's patronage is what allows them to basically carte blanche do whatever the fuck they want to every one of these cities. One of the running jokes of something that I said was shithole countries was when this first got brought up. It was Qatar being chosen to be the fucking location for FIFA. And I'm like,
shout out to y'all that's been listening that long.
What is with FIFA choosing these shithole fucking countries to do so? And my point to saying that was how these people treat their fellow countrymen, or how they treat the residents of the countrymen around them. Mm-hmm. Not the people in there, but how they treat those people. They grab their own people, but they also grab people from other nations that they deem lesser, so they could pay them lesser. That's because of the patronage of the world allowing FIFA to do what they want. So I'm doubling right back from whatever the fuck season 1 is to wherever the fuck we are now. I fucking can't stand this shit because capitalism just goes, as long as you're entertained, don't worry about the bodies that use to pop up your entertainment.
I would even say that this is not even a capitalism issue for once. This is just straight up old school corruption. If FIFA's corrupt, it literally is corrupt. I'm not even they have been up on corruption charges in multiple countries multiple times. Former presidents have gone to jail over this issue. FIFA is incredibly corrupt. I'm sure Intel will back me up on this with some facts at some point. But yeah, there's this is kind of their thing. They pick whoever bribes them the most, and that's where the World Cup goes.
Well,
it's the same thing with the International Olympic Committee.
No, 100%. That's why I brought it up.
Fuck the Olympics. By the way, fuck the Olympics.
But
corrupt.
One thing I want to add is, I'm just glad there are some institutions that we still trust. They're honest. Mm-hmm. They actively don't go out their way to cause chaos and to exploit. And of course, I'm talking about the American arms industry and our brave boys and girls and factory workers that make firearms, howitzers, drones, and different parts for planes that are now helping the liberation movement in Ukraine right now through our Lease Land Act and our ability to give major aid to other countries. I'm glad to see the Department of Defense still has the idea of American freedom and liberty and justice for all in all its actions and its minds.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is this 1940? Is this 1942?
Everything's coming back.
Ganja told me that one of the news stories, because something that I look at some of the news stories, but sometimes Ganja saves a couple news stories just to get immediate our live reaction. So he doesn't tell us everything. He gives us enough so that we know what to do to write whatever the fuck. Told me, the U.S. gets accused of doing what the U.S. always does. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's not a big what. That could be literally anything. Reading this fucking headline, I'm like, are we in 1942 where people don't understand that the U.S. was just fucking making weapons for everybody that was willing to take them? I'm just reading this in the old time fucking, and the European nation
or
accuses
literally every year after that,
like just the old timey fucking radio, fucking voice coming out there. It's like, yeah, they've been doing that forever since the inception of the United States. Accuses them, they have been doing it literally throughout the entire. Look up pre-Pearl Harbor.
That's the US only was because you're a non-patriotic Canadian. You don't understand because you were colonized thoroughly by royalty and the monarchy. You just don't understand freedom.
You guys were the colonizers. You're descendant from the colonizers.
I mean,
so saying that I'm colonized, you should take that as a fucking pride because it's what y'all's grandpappies did.
I mean, mine were the ones that got colonized by the colonizers.
Yeah.
I meant that as a you, as in whoever's crack-headed enough to say that statement to me.
Look, let's just say at the Smith household, there was not too many turkeys being celebrated. I'm just saying.
Look, I said this on Facebook. I'll say it again here. Black people do not actually celebrate Thanksgiving. We're just happy to get friends and family together when it's not a funeral or a wedding. That's all we're celebrating.
Look, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and speak to.
Also, you do see MTN already has the corruption stats up from FIFA.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I was laughing my ass off those. I just want to say, real quick, just to fundamental Black America, all parts of Black America, lumping, proletariat, bourgeois, all y'all, listen up. We know that you, and look, y'all know, we know, it's not the same.
It's the Wahite tribe? Yeah,
it is the Wahites that we clown and look harshly upon this holiday. We actually hope to get invited to your family get-togethers on this holiday.
Look, I'm going to be real because I've not caused enough controversy on the show, and I'm just going to keep doing the whole show. Turkey's trash.
All right, that's fine.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care who makes it.
So,
no.
I got to defend
It's
turkey.
not trash. It's that all the turkey you've had is from people who don't understand.
I've had turkey from several different households. It's all been terrible. It is all. I'm sorry. I can't stand it. Chicken is better.
I'm not going to ask you what the race of the people are. I'm just going to ask you.
My own people. It was several other kinds of people.
No, that's what I said. I'm not going to ask. I don't want to know that. What I want to know is, did you just get somebody who put like a turkey in the oven and then served it to you? Or
I wasn't there during any of the fucking process, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
I've never
Here's how you can tell. Did they say they were frying the turkey?
No, I didn't fucking ask.
Okay. If somebody's frying a turkey, they'll tell you basically.
Yeah, you taste that shit.
It's like being vegan. They can't not tell you they fried the turkey when they deep fry the turkey.
Chicken is better in every single conceivable way.
I promise you, I can make you a dish using turkey that you would actually like better than chicken.
I'm sorry.
Turkey's halal. You can sneak that on them without being guilty of anything. You're good.
It is halal. How would I explain it? Anyway,
Don't. This is not.
It's trash. I'm sorry. It's an entire holiday. I'm sorry. Fuck it. Like, you go from one trash holiday, which is fucking Halloween, and then you go to the next trash holiday, which is Thanksgiving. They're fucking garbage.
You don't celebrate Thanksgiving, right? Mostly because you're Canadian. I just realized that.
Look, we can't go scalp white people. Okay, that's not allowed. It's illegal.
Look,
not yet.
We'll push that holiday through. When more progressive minds take a hold of this country. Okay, but look. Again, like I said, to all Black America, enjoy time with your grandma. It's fine. But if you white and you say Happy Thanksgiving to me, I'm going to feel the type of way. I ain't going to lie. But besides, my cultural hangups and me still fighting the war from 1462, another one from 1942 is starting to recurring now with the conflict in Ukraine between Russia and its allies, apparently, because now they got Chechnya and a bunch of other fucking countries and their militias in there. And of course, you got European mercenaries and volunteers all going to Ukraine. Look, they just dropped a shitload of weapons. I knew what was going to happen. Like, did anyone really think that these weapons were not going to get to, like, certain other people's hands that were going to export them to maybe both the other side or to other, like, dubious actors that might want to get their hands on the most latest military-grade weapons in a conflict zone?
They were counting on it.
Yeah, they're basically a situation. This is like fucking FedEx just leaving your bullshit on there. It's like, well, yeah, whoever gets it, gets it.
No, I know the U.S. government, but I'm talking about, like, people who are like, yo, Zelensky's God, bro. Like, give Zelensky an Oscar and shit. Like, are they, like, cool with this, too? This is like, fuck it, it's part of the game?
Yeah, I knew this was going to be a thing from the beginning. We talked about the war the moment this got announced it being a thing.
Yeah, we did.
Because, all right, we're giving billions in direct government aid to the Ukrainians. You didn't think they weren't going to try to get that money back through, businesses supported by the defense industry?
Also,
did you fall asleep and like slip through to a different multiverse location where you're not the Ganja that we know? And
don't get me started on that.
Look, so what happened was, right, we got hijacked by Microsoft. and they kidnapped me and Alan, and I'm slowly degrading and now becoming a consciousness within him. That's what all these anti-capitalist rants are. I'm trying to meld our consciousness. If y'all play Cyberpunk, the same thing. I'm going to be his Johnny. I'm going to help him. I got you, Alan, for life.
It's a bad idea for everyone involved.
I'm just going to fuck with him when he's being off. You doing it again? Huh!
I might just have to
like
jump out
Imson just said
window.
it. Like, yeah, we're printing money, giving it to Ukraine, and then they're using it to buy weapons from us. We're
They did the Marshall Plan over again.
Yeah,
you use the money to buy the weapons, then you get them to use your money to buy the weapons, generate economic growth, flourish, magic.
No, you just have
but
to
also
run
think
away
of all the other
inflation.
countries that are going to start buying even more.
Not
US
if you raise the interest rates to the point that you
defense
kill the fucking working class.
No, but if you're basically giving money to somebody so that they buy you something from there, you just created a negative feedback loop that will destroy your economy. Because eventually you're either going to run out of product or run out of money.
Shout out to Mike Pondsmith. He was only 10 years late.
That's
early.
10
10 years early, yeah.
Just give them the weapons.
Again, I'm still not certain that he's right. I still think we're going to end up in the Fallout universe, but
just give them the weapons. Why are you doing this
No.
roundabout bullshit?
Because we don't make money by giving them the weapons.
You're not making money anyway.
Yes,
No,
they are.
that's
Money
the
to give
secret.
away to get back.
Alan, you have
Where's
to.
the money?
I'm gonna have to start sending you videos on currency. You got to learn how money works, man.
You might want to send this to the fucking Treasury Department too.
Look, they ignored all my requests. Okay.
Like fuck. It's the equivalent of fucking. Oh my god, this is the equivalent of like fucking taking cup out of a pool, handing it to someone, and then pissing it back in, and just assuming that as long as it stays level, you're fine.
Keep that
and not
currency
worrying about
circulating, baby.
Yeah, it's gonna circulate until you're nothing but piss.
Well,
Even though
yeah.
you're just getting your own money back.
Don't you know what
keep it
happened
off.
to us in the 70s after the great economic post-war boom of the Marshall Plans in the 40s and 50s?
You know I don't.
That's why I'm gonna start sending you some of these blogs. I'm gonna start sending you some of these YouTube videos, and before you know it, my consciousness will successfully meld with yours, and we will become one entity.
But like, it's my biggest issue.
And yes,
is
that
not
means we share.
You do realize Imson and I did the opposite of that, right? He broke off and.
Who do you think gave me the idea?
He became his own entity, separate from me. We're not combined anymore.
But I don't understand the point. This isn't sustainable. All you're doing is destroying your own economy.
It's not supposed to be sustainable.
It's not.
It's quick money.
What do they gain out of it?
Quick economic. They make the ticker go up a little higher.
Yeah, and also they set up for other countries to start rebuying a bunch of American defense products.
But I don't get. Okay, but the problem is we're giving them. The U.S. is giving them the money to buy the stuff from them. But in order for the U.S. to be able to get that, it has to then make the money. So then this is
all right. Look, I got you.
It's literally just explain.
Shout out to my syndicalist brother breaking this out for you. All right, you're not making money, Alan. You're increasing the national GDP. We give the money to Ukraine. Ukraine uses the money on weapons. Those weapons have to be made in factories. Increasing production in those factories. Increasing domestic gross production. When the GDP grows, the country line of credit goes. What makes you think debt is irrelevant? That's how you win at Vicky 3, bitch.
Oh.
Yeah, he's right.
Oh, that's okay. That actually does make more sense.
It's economics, motherfucker.
Until you stop. Until somebody stops accepting one of these things.
It's almost like there was a bearded man that predicted that last part of the process.
Like, this is great until people don't want to shoot anybody, and suddenly you have no. Oh God!
Look, my favorite thing, hands down, to add this all together and bring it back home to I am as a person and my political beliefs.
And when the economy crashes, there are only two choices about which way to go: the commie or the conqueror.
Look,
hi, folks.
Besides that, even matter. Look, Alan, my favorite thing that's happening to the cannabis market right now, and I shouldn't be celebrating this, but this is perfect. This is economics. I can't get mad. This is history in transition. This is the movement of material goods and development of products and infrastructure and industry. All the shit that makes economies boom and different markets like grow and shit. This is perfect because everyone gets to this final stage of capital development. The marijuana market in California is crashing. I'm talking about pounds are $200 to $100 for high-grade medical cannabis. And those farmers, both up in Northern Cali and in the cities, can't move their product. They're having hard times being legal. And the illegal market, the proletariat, doesn't care about laws and regulations, so they're going to sell that shit regardless. But the people that want to go legal, pay taxes, and try to build general wealth from what they thought of this market is slowly realizing that the large corporate farmers have bought up most of the major grow sites. Not only that, they are now part of the regulatory boards on these different city commissions and states that form the regulation that these little growers are supposed to deal with, but aren't as hard, that are hardcore more affected by these regulation costs than the big marijuana businesses. So they're getting hammered on regulation. Not only that, taxes are kind of ridiculous high. You could make the argument that taxes in California is high regardless due to all the different stuff they do there. But, there's an argument made there. I'm willing to hear the libertarians out on taxes at any time because sometimes motherfuckers fuck up. But here's the thing. Not only that, because everyone rushed into the legal market and tried to produce cannabis in such a large surplus, they oversupplied the market. And now they are blaming the government and the man for regulation, not realizing that they're being fucked by big corporation who is dominating the market now and pushing them out. It's not monopolies and it's not big fucking government, y'all. It's just capitalism. That's what's going on here. There's a chance to generate regardless.
Nope, we lost him.
I was gonna say we lost him. I'm busy reading. I can't hear Ganja. Ganja.
Oh. Did the CIA get me? Well, basically, I was explaining, the most basic shit from Das Kapital for y'all right there. You're taking advantage of the farmers. No, I'm a consumer. Yeah, I'm sorry that y'all surplus yourself into devastation, but what y'all want from me? Like, again, like this whole thing going on, you're Blue Allen's mind, but I'm just over here like, what you want? Like, that's the American arms industry. That's what we're gonna do, baby. We got taken out by the CIA. Oh, don't get me started on credit lines, bro, where you actually grow your corporation through acquiring debt. Where if you try to do that on your individual family income, you would get your shit seized so fucking quick. So that's why here at the Illuminati Podcast, we're going to start our own handgun surplus store. We're going to start one in Kiev. That's what exactly. They won't see us coming. I mean, yeah, getting off the airport, but then we can move quietly among the people. I'm still here. All I can hear is Ganja. No, don't say that.
Got it.
Did I fix it?
The second worst podcast we ever did.
Listen, did I get it? Tell me I pulled the magic off, y'all. Talk. You got to keep talking, gentlemen.
Well, I was trying to see what the problem was on my end, and I think maybe.
I think we're good. We're good.
We're good?
Yeah, I'm listening to it now. We're good.
All right, so your boy's got to get a brand new mic when he gets his paycheck because
yeah, dude, what kind of like MacGyver setup do you have?
What it is the original cord to this broke, so I jerry rigged another cord that hooks up to the Yeti mic, and I have it plugged in through another adapter that plugs into my PC. I'm jerry rigging like a motherfucker over here.
Okay, so what you need is just a mixer. It's get a mixing board and just plug the mic in. Well, 4-part mixer. And just plug your mic in.
And that's how Ganja started his DJ career.
Let's get a better fucking Yeti, bro.
I look, y'all don't understand. There's gonna be magic happening here at the Illuminati Podcast. We're gonna have all kinds of new content for y'all with the coming new year. We're gonna have new looks, new videos, all kinds of shiznit. So, one of the top things on the priority is probably a new mic. Probably one that just goes A to B connection. I don't have to worry about like making sure if I have an adapter for Type C that goes to Type Z. But so, I'm just digressing here because I want to make sure that we're still good on audio. And Edmonton says we're fixed now. So honestly, what's more to say about this story other than
U.S. going U.S.?
Yeah, we gonna do what we gonna do. Like what?
And Europe finally noticing.
Europe just like over there, like, hey, what they doing?
Like, hey, why are y'all treating us like we're lesser than?
Look,
because you are lesser than.
What the fuck they doing over there, dog? It's just cold as shit. Is that how they fight for freedom? Yeah. And their grandparents are just remember like protesting the Vietnam War and shit at the embassies and like I don't know what was in the water. That really got to them.
I mean, go back further. We didn't want to fight England on our own. We called France for help. And the Prussians for that fucking reason.
By the way, when the king asked us for help, and we were just like, "Oh, freedom, bitch." All that we have. Look, if you look at the history of the United States, we've done a lot of countries dirty, dog.
Most of them.
Speaking of,
I'm not sure what country you haven't done dirty.
Speaking about doing the country
Luxembourg.
Yeah, we haven't really messed with them
yet.
And Lithuania.
That's impressive.
But that's also where a lot of stuff that people want to talk about tend to hide out.
That's like Switzerland. It's all secret and like people think it's all nice and shit when you realize, oh my god, they're built on way worse.
Yeah.
What do you mean this is basically a royal feudalism that somehow survived all the way to the modern time, but no one talks about it because a parliament somehow won a secret civil war. Y'all didn't look up into the Swedish history. That shit, wow. Oh, Albania thinks we're pretty solid as well.
That's a different set of problems.
Albania's like, America's still cool. We like them. Y'all come bring American dollars. Come.
Oh, man.
But I don't know how to bring this back because this is basically a topic discussion we're gonna have for the show that gets deep into like philosophy and a little bit more hardcore ideology than the previous stuff.
Tell you what, you two set it up. I'm gonna get some water because I know this topic,
that hydration,
and I'm gonna need this.
Yeah, right. I have water right beside me.
I ran out after the time travel and American imperialism through profit discussions. I need a little more water.
Man,
my Arab genetics, I can hold
colonization
very well.
Builds up a mighty fine thirst.
Look, I might be born in Canada and Canadian washed, but I still have my Arab genetics. I can hold moisture very well.
I see it. This man threw up 10 fucking plus times at EDC. It was amazing. Oh, yeah. If he was on any other drug, I would have been worried for his health, but he was on weed, so I just know he just drank too much water.
I was in the desert, and my biggest problem was I was overhydrated.
You were overhydrated.
How do you get overhydrated in a desert?
I don't know. I watched you do it. I still don't know, though. That's one of those things that when you still see someone do, you got like maybe see it happen like 10, 15 more times before you really get the process down. Kind of like a scientist.
Problem is I had to keep drinking water because my throat was hurting.
That's what she said. But kind of to lead into the next story because Alan, I want to get your actual opinion on this as an outside Canadian.
Look, I immediately was really quick looking at that second photo, so I thought that was Reggie Fils-Aimé from Nintendo shaking someone's hand. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, Nintendo? What the fuck?
Why do you think Mario wears the red?
You know?
We share the same hat.
Oh, I saw that fucking game theory where it's like Mario's communist.
He's not communist. Tetris is, though.
Yeah.
Tetris is from the Soviet Union. That's one of ours. Again, usually we start something and then it gets popularized and people forget that the socialists started, like space travel. Yeah,
well, hey, I'm Arab.
Eye surgery. Actual human rights.
We invented algebra.
But before I get into my whole tanky thing, because I got plenty of room in this to have that type of discussion. But in the pre-production meeting, me and Rufus were talking. And one of the things that I brought to him right now is due to the nature of U.S. politics. We have a lot of different factions within the left. You have people that support elections. You have people that support, direct action. They support, autonomy zones, all kinds of different ideologies that are based around leftist thought. And recently, with my own personal experience with the recent electoral wins from a lot of leftists in the United States, a lot of policies that are progressive or really moving forward, they're really successful. We had people even that were outright socialists that won straight up elections. I'm actually kind of a little broken in my duality here to a certain extent because I feel like on one side I do understand that election politics can only go so far into a certain development stage, mostly because I feel like the Republicans and the Democrats and the system apparatus as it is will try to clamp down on any type of natural like leftist formation gaining power through actual proper elections and the winning of political power from the electoral vote all the way down to local and even council elections. But with that being said, there's always been a undercurrent of the left that wants to do, more of an armed uprising, more of a revolution now kind of mindset, guerrilla warfare, what people's protracted war, whatever thing you kind of fucking name it. It's mostly the left wing version of the militia movement, honestly, if people want to be upfront about it. And I want to ask you, with the way things are going in the United States, between the two different sides that I pretty much described, one that rejects, elections as a fraud and basically as a kind of just a pageantry thing people do every 2 to 4 years and doesn't really have any material change in their lives, or people like, for example, my party that it actually goes out of its way to participate in the electoral process, get candidates elected that are either support certain programs or supports different aspects of either progressive or leftism to a certain extent. Like, for example, people like in our party will go out there and canvass for AOC, or like, for example, here we had people canvass for Elizabeth Epps, who's a abolitionist. So we participate in electoral politics as a way to build our power base and to try to give the working class a voice in politics. So with that being said, I want to ask you, what's your opinion on electoral politics in America? Do you see it as a viable change for this country to adopt a more leftist stance, or is it going to really go into a more, what I say, a rejected bourgeois politics kind of standard where people take more of a direct action towards making the change?
Oh fuck, that's such a loaded question.
Yeah, it was, because it's a deep ass thought.
It's a deep ass thought because I already have my answer. But I remember one of the first rants I ever did. I think it was the second one specifically, that when I was practicing doing my rants for the show, was when when they were trying to push out Bernie Sanders, and they basically had the moniker, which I thought was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, which was vote blue no matter who. That shit was so degradingly insulting. It was just like, we don't care about your opinion as long as you're voting for this color. That I saw that people defending it, people using it as hashtags, and it's like, they think you're idiots. They think you're stupid. They don't care about your opinion. They only care that you could tell the difference between two colors. That's the only thing they care about. And then seeing a situation where people now are still on their fucking timelines going, I voted. And it's like, it's one of those situations where these are the same people that still feel, they'll say, oh, well, voting doesn't really matter, but I'm just doing it just to get social brownie points, because they're focused more on the bigger picture. But the problem is they're not focusing on what actually does matter. Because I do believe to a small degree, voting does help, because again, on the grassroots, on the smaller scales, yes. When it comes to presidential, sure, that's the more noticeable changes. But the reason the Trumps and the DeSantis and the Bidens and the fucking Bernies can get to where they are, it's because they were built up from a ground level. So the reason you're able to see what they're seeing is because you focus on the smaller level and worked your way up. And the reason Ruthless is moving back and forth in his seat is because he does the same shit, and he's always vibing to the weekend. Either fucking way. I think it is this bougie bullshit.
I don't listen to the weekend during the show.
Yeah, that's a lie. You know it.
It's not a lie. I don't listen to the weekend during the show.
Okay.
Before the show, after the show, not during the show.
I think that right now the majority of people just view it as I have to do it because it's like oh fuck, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like they have to do it because if they don't, they'll be ostracized. Like, I can't believe you didn't vote and yada yada. You're the reason. It's all your fault. Yada yada. It's like, yeah, but what are you voting for? Oh, I'm just voting blue. Why? Because they told me to. It's like, so because you decided to cast your vote, the incredibly important thing, because at the end of the day it is, essentially in a way that's cheapifying it, you're essentially pouring water into the ocean and go, well, hey, I voted blue, but it's already blue. Yeah, but I voted. I poured my cup of water into the ocean. I did my part. It's like, no, you didn't. What you should have done is taken that cup of water and gone to that fucking dry ass garden and grew something there. because that growing something there will be more beneficial than you putting water into the fucking ocean. So it's like, I'm torn between it because yes, it's been diluted where it doesn't matter, but it's even more important because of that.
It's that contradiction always popping up.
It's there. You diluted it to the point where it doesn't matter, but because you did that, it's even more important.
But not only that, like now, even though it's diluted, there you go. I gotta fix my camera because I decided to sit down. My legs were hurting. But even though it's diluted, it still has a lot of power left.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all right, here's the thing. I have a selfish reason for this recent transformation on electoral politics, and then I have a broader, more Marxist analytic kind of.
I was about to say, do you want to take this, or do you want me to?
I'm going to take this, and then I want you to basically spank me and the rest of the left like the daddy dom you are. But
I am not a daddy dom. I will hold on. You will not get these fucking brats out here saying, "Come in my fucking inbox." That is not. I am a sadist.
It's fine, just send them. Fine, send them my way. I got it.
You do not want the brats.
You don't want those.
You really don't want
them.
Look, just make sure you're above the age of 25.
It doesn't matter. They act. They're brats because they act like littles and brats at the same time. You don't want what's coming.
You don't know what I want.
But look,
I mean, you've told us before, so yeah, I did.
Fair enough.
So my biggest thing. So I'm always gonna. So this is the ultra left position. It's always gun ho revolutionary now today. Take the progress. Do what you gotta do to be agitation and take it to the state as much as you can, and try to raise worker consciousness as much as you can, either through actions or through organizing the community itself. Well, as much as I love mutual aid, because it does provide a lot of good things for people in unhoused communities and people that don't have access to different medical care, different access to even like haircuts and shit like that. That these small like community services can provide stuff like that, even right down to a laundry service. But they're never gonna really solve the existential crisis that's going on in these neighborhoods. Whereas, for example, in Colorado, we recently passed a law, and I know a lot of people that have watched the show. I've brought it up many times because it is something that really broke my brain with this. Was we passed free lunch for primary school students. So that means anyone from K to 12th grade is going to get free lunch, regardless of their economic status. And that's really a revolutionary thing. And I don't think a lot of people realize that was something that was accomplished by people just going in and voting on a proposition that went through the normal checks and balances of American democracy and essentially pulled out a socialist policy.
Like most of the policies you don't even realize exist.
But not only that, like for example, my own personal one, we decriminalized psychedelics to a certain extent. Read Prop 112, y'all. Y'all gonna have a great time with that. So, and that's gonna stop people from going to jail in large numbers. No amount of criminal defense leagues or people trying to do benefits concerts or benefit fundraising for different people that go to jail for drug dealing or drug possession is going to amount to just a straight up law, basically de facto giving no power to the state to be able to criminalize these people for simple possession, use, or cultivation of their particular substance. And that's, again, not something you're going to get out of a dance safe community defense group.
Yeah.
That only came out as electoral victory. So I'm torn because as much as I feel at heart, sometimes I am an accelerationist because I do want things to get better faster. And I do know that we're kind of on a clock to a certain extent. But if we're able to win small victories, and I don't even call them small, those are major victories, especially here in the United States. That shows that there's maybe not the whole thing, but there is a chance to make a wedge in it and start gaining political power as a leftist movement in this country. Now, Alan, I asked you earlier, and I appreciate your answer. Give me a second while I put on the GIMP outfit, because Ruthless is going to take it over next.
What? No. Look, man, I got a sword. I got a sword.
And I got rubber. Several. Give me a second.
Oh yeah, shout out to Solar Gray of Back in the Deck Production. Follow him on Twitch for basically letting me have one just out of the blue. That guy's awesome. I gotta message him up. It's been a while.
Would you rather I pull out the katana, the nodachi, or just the straight up old school.
Oh, if I get a Naginata,
Scottish
man.
broadsword, because I've got several swords.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I know everyone loves the Scottish broadsword. That shit is like great for swinging once. Cool if you kill them, and if you don't, well, shit. That shit weighs like 15 fucking pounds.
Yeah, they're fucking heavy as shit.
They're heavy as shit, and they'll kill a motherfucker if you hit them.
Yeah. Yeah, they can also
give me something that can give me more than one shot.
Slashing, stabbing, or of course blunt force trauma.
Yeah, you get hit with that, you ain't walking away, man.
Now,
oh man, I would love to do an episode on how all modern sword choreography is just wrong.
The old version of the show, I would say, pipe down comedy. However, this is so much sweeter. It's like getting to taste suffering you didn't cause but benefit from.
This is damn near the same level as seeing that goddamn McDonald arch with the Soviet flag under it.
It really is. It really is. Because these are words that I so rarely get to say on this show because it's just not fair. I told you so.
No. No. No.
So here's the thing. We have gone through 3.5 basically years of the show. We're almost at 4.
Yeah.
And one of the things that that began the show was this discussions between me and Ganja all the time about the approach to the stuff we want. Because as people may have noticed,
was damn near Johnny Silverhand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, considering like you did comedy instead of music, you basically were Johnny Silverhand. But the difference between us was always about tactics. And as you said before, at your heart, you are an accelerationist with some anarchist tendencies. Even though you're not an anarchist. I don't want people to think he's an anarchist. Just like, don't come in my inbox if you're a little or a brat. I'm not a daddy dom. Don't do that.
I love how M. Chris, friend of the show, is just kind of shitting all over Ganja's accomplishments.
Look.
Oh yeah, you're getting food for the kids is good, but it's such a small victory that you're like, damn, this repressive system really does work.
I meant politically. Looks wise, I do not look anywhere close to Keanu Reeves.
So here's the thing, and I'm going to get on M10 for this as well. The reason that stuff hasn't worked before is a combination of factors that I don't feel are ever really accounted for. Now, I used to always say the biggest problem with progress is basic human greed and avarice. But really, that stopped being an issue in like the late 90s, early 2000s. The real issue has been there hasn't been a generation who has had the information and experience to apply that information at the right nexus of time. And I didn't think that even though, Gen Z was growing up, that even they would be ready to really do that, because millennials, frankly, just refuse to. And I mean refuse to. We're at a point where you can get things accomplished. We talked about during production, the concept of deliberate speed. Deliberate speed is not what people think. It's not quickly. It's, in fact, it's almost laboriously slow. And that's kind of the way progress has worked in America, and it works under any state power authority situation. Because there are so many things to account for that can't otherwise be dealt with. I mean, we'll use the US for an example because it's easy. You are not going to get a big swing change if you have to convince half of the population about basic facts that we all agree to otherwise.
Look, first we teach them that the earth is round. Then we get to socialism.
But that's kind of the point. Like, you have to get the collective populace up to a base level of intelligence on subjects that concern them before you can expect them to make decisions to everyone's benefit. You can't just hop from hyper individualistic, stunted thinking to hyper collectivist thought. Transition. The thing I've said over and over again on our show, transition. And this became a problem for you because, frankly, acceleration did look like the only viable solution. It did look like, look, the only way you're going to get change in this country is armed, open rebellion. But if you can have Colorado do what it did, if you can have Missouri flip the way it did on marijuana, if you can, and this is still ridiculous to me, if you can have a state like Texas and a state like Georgia just entertain flipping, things are going to happen a certain way. And part of that's to do with the younger generations not really using the same tactics of their forebears. It's a lot easier to convince you that I'm right about something if I can show you the video where it proves that I'm right. And I can give you not just the article, but the peer-reviewed study about the particular facts in the situation. Whatever those facts are, whether that's an economic fact or a scientific one, doesn't really matter. That's not something we could have gotten before. Even when the internet becomes ubiquitous in the early 2000s, it still wasn't you can trust this thing. Now, so much of our society is online. So much of our society is videotaped. Well, not videotaped, but is documented digitally. Right. So much of that exists that, like, you look at people who have strange beliefs, like they're complete weirdos because they are. Mm-hmm. Whereas, all right, I want you to think about, let's take this out of politics for a quick second. If you think women are bad drivers, right, and that men shouldn't wash dishes, you can spout that on the internet. And within 20 minutes, all of TikTok is going to be at all of your social media. Mm-hmm. If you think all men are going to cheat and that the only good man is a dead one, mm-hmm. Twitter, even with Elon Musk being a complete idiot, is going to be at all of your social media. And you better hope they don't dox you
after he DMs,
because then they're going to be at your door. So now the only holdouts are people who, honestly, I don't want to, before something happens. And even saying I don't want to because I don't want to gets the same reaction from the people that we're going to come after them for their weird ass beliefs. And it doesn't matter where in the world you are.
Carmen Sandiego.
Well, yeah, Carmen Sandiego couldn't happen now. The whole world would have her on videotape.
Nah, it should be like Batman. And just kind of like appearing and disappearing.
Look, there was a moment there in Las Vegas.
If a woman who is clearly at least 5'7" is running around in the same red coat and red hat with a yellow scarf, people are gonna be like, "Yo, she keeps robbing major stuff."
Nah,
is somebody gonna catch this chick?
See, that's where they get you because then other people will cosplay as her, and now you don't know who's who.
I have to respond to Emmett 10 because he is dropping some knowledge. Like, I can't disagree with this. I read these passages.
Shit to you, bro.
Oh, he's going hard. But here's the thing: like, I read Carmen Lynn, and I get you, dog. But we're not in the same material conditions as my boy, and we're fighting a way different system than he's fighting. And that's
I'm gonna hit you with one. I'm gonna hit you with the one that.
Hold on, let me finish my point real quick.
I'll go for it.
And I want to hear yours. It's just, I'm not saying we're gonna get the revolution out of bourgeois politics. I'm not. But I'm wondering how much of a power base and a foundation we can build out of it. Now, I don't want to repeat the same mistake as the fucking German Social Democratic Party of Marx and fucking Lipnick's time. I don't want to do that before the split happened and all that shit, where they just maintained party unity for parliamentary power and all that shit, and never really brought about a socialist platform. But in terms of us just building a strong power base now, the way these progressive policies are going, it's a good wave to ride on to show just a small example of what that left-wing mass coalition can do in terms of exercising its political power. Especially that we can get the liberals to do it, like, especially when it comes to drug policies. They agree with us on this. Even libertarians agree on getting rid of harsh drug penalties and shit.
Yeah, lowering drug policies. Another policy.
Age of consent. That's the word. That's what point of uni breaks real quickly.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's the example that is always a thing. You say this more than even I do at times. I am literally the most dangerous person for the revolution you want, because most of the stuff you want, I just give you. Because my system of governance doesn't require any of the trappings that our current ones require.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a cult. I don't need true believers. Again, I don't like democracy because humans aren't ready for it. But the other thing I was going to say is, and there's absolutely no getting around this. If Ron DeSantis came out right now, hold on, you'll like this. If Ron DeSantis came out right now, said, I'm not changing anything about any of the policies that I'm putting forward. I'm running for the president of the United States of America in the Republican Party. Also, I believe that the American people pay so much in taxes that they deserve to get better things for their money. And I will support a national health service. No more single payer, no more insurance companies.
That would be fucking insane.
If he said it because of what he's already done as a Republican, that would become a Republican platform.
Mm-hmm.
And people would vote for it on that single issue. Because the current electorate in the US, at least, and not this is not an everywhere thing, this is a here thing. The current electorate is perfectly fine going with whatever policy they're told to like. You guys ever see that sketch on Key and Peele where Obama goes into the meeting with Republicans and says the exact opposite of what he actually wants, and they just give it to him?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what we're dealing with in real life now. As long as you can get the person who's voting to side with a policy and don't, bathe it in anybody's partisan politics,
mm-hmm.
it's going to go through. Well, when you start looking at what options are to do that, you could always call a constitutional Congress. Shout to Wolfpack. You could easily influence the right politicians on both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
When you start doing those things, you realize that the stuff moves because the people now move. We had an IQ bump in society, human society, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we began taking the lead out of paint. We had a population boom.
But it was so sweet to chew on.
What?
I'm not kidding. That's literally what people did. Yeah.
People used to chew on paint with lead in it.
America.
That wasn't just America. That was the whole damn world.
Wait till I tell you what we did with asbestos.
Oh, that one I know.
Yeah. Oh, and let's not lead in the gas too.
Gas, yeah.
I was gonna say we also had a population boom between the 20s, 30s, and 40s, despite the Great Depression, because of no longer using coal-fired stoves. By switching to natural gas and electricity for stoves, it made it a lot harder for people to commit suicide with their stove.
Yeah,
But then they found out that car and garage combo, and it was off to the races.
Then they made housing unaffordable. So yeah,
which went down in the 70s during the gas shortage.
Oh.
What I'm saying is we are fundamentally stupid as a species, except for when we decide to make everybody smarter.
See, I know some shit you don't know, Emmett 10, bitch.
What do you think the internet is? It's another device where we've collectively made society smarter.
Mm-hmm.
We moved we moved the floor up on everyone, and it has political effects. So yeah, the old adage of you're only going to get revolution here because there's no way you can get this accomplished otherwise. Even Marx said he thought there was a peaceful way to fix America in his time. Well, guess what? It took a lot longer than he thought, but it seems to be happening. And it's going to start small.
Because here's the thing, again.
But 20 years, 10 years ago, you couldn't have run a fucking socialist and won anything in America.
I don't care how social democrat they are or the Scandinavian Project. They didn't give a fuck back then. You were just Che Guevara as far as they were concerned.
And to bring this all the way back to time travel, if Jimmy Carter beats Reagan, we don't even have this problem.
And that's when I got the tattoo on my ass of Jimmy Carter holding a peanut.
Holding a peanut?
Holding a peanut.
He was a peanut farmer.
Okay.
Look, Carter, you're not eating a paint chip. It's not a mark against me.
They made themselves peanut farm so that he wouldn't violate the emoluments clause.
I'm not
the one that Trump just said fuck it to.
Edmonton, I'm not encouraging you to eat paint chips. I'm just saying the knowledge. I got you on one. This ain't like if you don't smoke crack, you're a crowder kind of thing, bro. I'm not encouraging type of behavior of eating lynch.
Why would you chew paint chips? Does paint?
Oh, he literally says why. Yeah, it has a sweet taste.
Oh my god, it's sweet.
It's sweet. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Oh, that what the. Oh.
So you had kids that was just gnawing on shit, just like because it tastes real sweet.
It's sweet. What the
sweet.
fuck were they thinking?
Same thing. The kids were thinking the same thing their parents did. Oh yeah, I used to do that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I get the kids doing.
Don't do that. They'll give you an upset tummy.
No, I get the kids to do it because they're
don't eat too much because it's gonna make it. We're still gonna eat dinner. Don't eat too much paint.
Like I get the kids doing it because they're fucking stupid and suicidal, but like I don't understand why the companies were like, "Hey, this shit that goes on walls, let's make it like sweet." So
look,
dumbass
man,
kids.
I can't even argue with this boy in the chat because I don't know what was in those Florida school chips. All right, I never put them in my mouth, but I used to sit in the back, all close up to him. I could have got like some iridium fucking type of iodine or some shit from the wall. I don't know what they used to build Florida schools, y'all.
Dude, the radiation would have subsided unless that shit was built yesterday.
Look, they say it's concrete. I don't believe it. It's shell rock.
Lead acetate is sweet naturally? Really?
I was gonna be over here just drinking little glasses and shit like, this shit delicious.
No.
Put some Nesquik in this motherfucker.
That's a great way to get a seizure.
But all right, so here's the thing. I don't disagree with him a lot on this. But I'm just saying, like, I think the biggest thing I'm trying to lean towards is there needs to be a power foundation building at some point.
Yeah.
And if we are going to take it to a escalated stage that people talk about from more of an ultra-left position or even from a more direct action tendency, it still requires a foundation of power. And for the last 40 years, you've seen different groups, both of very good reputation and good stance, come and go, trying to build this outside mass mobility that has no real physical power in the structure anyway to justify its smallest claims, even if it's just like guaranteeing union rights or your right to picket, your right to strike, right to solidarity strikes. The most basic minimum stuff that even in the most quote-unquote progressive social democracies they allow. So I'm just wondering here how much of this progression, even if we just get it through the electoral politics, which I agree is a small victory, will help us build up our different justifications and our legitimacy with the American people in order to, if it does get to that case, let's say, best case scenario, motherfucker, we both play Kaiserreich. You know what the fuck I'm about to bring up. So we get the John Reed of our time. The motherfucker runs in 2040, right? And he breaks the electoral vote. It's just what Lincoln did back in the slavery days, right? And the right is pissed, the center left is pissed, and they're trying to do a coup. From the reaction of January 6th, both from the military and its fundamental powers, depending on how hostile they are to a socialist government here in the United States, because I think they would personally side with it. I don't know how much of the American populace has the stomach to, one, fight a left-wing civil war to defend the government. And if they do, the way we seem to handle and the way they're trying to handle the right wing, I see it more of it would just turn into a power grab of different government agencies where different people are trying to put their staff in order to gain more legitimacy. And then from there on, probably do a persecution campaign where they grab each other on charges and corruption, all kinds of bullshit, until we eventually get to an armed struggle. But honestly, at this moment now, with the last 40 years of just community defense and just building these autonomous stuff, we're not gonna. There's no strong guerrilla left-wing militia force in the United States that is ready to just spring up like the IRA once they do the second coup and it falls.
Gotcha. You're missing me. We have built general apathy and nihilism into American culture. They don't like upsetting status quo. And I'm not talking about our communities. None of the three of our communities. I'm talking about average.
My thing is it to the point where the American people are so lazy they would let the communists take electoral power?
Look at the reaction to the January 6th protesters. Those people don't get to say that they're protesters out loud, but they were there. And it's not me and you that are turning them in. It's their friends. It's their kids.
Just fuck them.
Well, yes, but also it's because the average American would never back somebody trying to tear down the government directly through violence. So if you suddenly don't take the violent approach and the response is people trying to cheat you out of what you clearly won, whose side do you think the people are going to be on?
Yeah.
Oh man, they wanted to give my nana more Medicare coverage and better Social Security. They're not going to be mad at you for that. Like, oh, you wanted to make it easier for me to be at home with my kids when I have kids.
And the biggest danger would be like extreme right-wing elements taking like either coalition and attacks or doing like right-wing terrorism. But anytime they've done that historically in the United States, unless they got a firm grasp on the local community there, that it's hard for the federal government or any outside people to really perpetrate, they tend to collapse and fall into their own doing these terrorist attacks. American people do not put up with terrorist attacks on this soil.
Exactly. And when they know it's a right-wing terrorist, they are even angrier. Look at the response to Timothy McVeigh. That was the 90s, bro. This is not this is not hard. When you see their reaction to acts of actual terror, I'm not talking about mass shootings because that's a different discussion. Like, I'm talking about just straight up acts of terror. January 6th had basically the same response as Timothy McVeigh's Oklahoma City bombing, just with people actually being able to go to jail.
Right.
So it is, man. Imagine just slipping the stuff in until you're finally just running a candidate that agrees with all.
Because here's the thing, it's happening to me locally.
Yeah.
That's why.
And if you focus on those local votes, suddenly national candidates become viable. That's where me and Nintendo disagree. You have to be small in your initial victories because you need a base for somebody to run with. I can't win being a presidential candidate anytime in the next 20 years. Me. We're talking about me here. Because I need to bank a bunch of local Kansas City victories, small stuff, so that I have a platform of wins to run on. It's the entire debate between Trump and DeSantis. The reason why we all in this call and in our chat think DeSantis would beat Trump in a Republican primary is because DeSantis, even though he gets challenged on it in the courts, is always doing something. And that little bank of victories is everything. Well, it works the same way for your party. It works the same way for the ideology. It works the same way for anyone's. If you want to get the victories, you start with getting the stuff. You can't get the person in if the policies aren't common to the average person. The reason why you're able to decriminalize psychedelics in Colorado It's because people saw, one, that Denver was able to do it, but two, that we worked out so well for the entire state. Mm-hmm. There were no problems. It brought more people to the state, which increased the tax base for the whole state.
And before you Coloradans of the 70s start saying, well, it raised property value. Well, that's because your greedy landlords saw the gold rush. Instead of building housing, they thought, oh, I'm going to speculate this motherfucker as high as I can.
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. And again, I agree with Emmett to a certain extent, but if only the part, like, this is just speaking from my own party experience, if only the party had the legitimacy and the ability to like be on the forefront of these initiatives and actually claim victory to them as being ones that push it through, would give us that push to grow and do more stuff.
I mean, I would say in one case, you don't need that yet. And in the other case, that's again a branding thing. And y'all don't want to change your branding.
Well, the kids love it. It's hype now.
And that's fine. I'm just saying that, like, if it was suddenly, you know, not being branded communist to say the things you said, people would just agree to them.
True.
Because because
that's the hardest part we have right now is we don't have the legitimate power to crack the whip. It's similar to a DSA. DSA has candidates they run, but there's no real centralized power. Like, for example, we have where you can crack the whip on candidates that are not following in line with the party program. And because we don't push for us to be dominant coalitions, we never have that ability to push them into our sphere of influence or to have them follow our agenda to its conclusion, whether for success or failure, you know?
Yeah, and I see Intense point what he's trying to get to is that the system will never let you get bigger stuff. In a vacuum, I agree. The problem is, and this is for both of y'all,
and that's where I'm conflicted right now. Is there an actual vacuum for us to see some?
This isn't a vacuum. This isn't a vacuum. Like you, this sounds mean. I'm not trying to be mean when I say this.
Let me grab my GIMP.
Y'all's refusal to really be aggressive in branding because it feels too capitalist to you is the reason why you don't get any further. Because the number one thing Republicans and Democrats do above everything else is they sell what they're bringing to you. Mm-hmm. The brand is sold. Just as much as the policies are sold, the brand is sold.
I would say the brand is sold more than the policies, honestly. More people are Democrats because they just like the
blue no matter who.
Or they like the aesthetics of liberalism.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the policies have to be there to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And the brand is sold. The brand, it's these policies are signature Democrat Party policies, and thus the brand is this buy-in. And that's what they do. They're Coke and Pepsi. You're trying to be RC Cola, but you're refusing to have a brand. And part of that's, you know, the inability to work together because y'all can't agree on the color of the bus. Part of that's because you don't want to make a normalized line for lunch, and that DSA needs to have personal privilege to clap. But generally speaking, progressives that are beyond the average liberal group need a better set of branding, and it needs to be more aggressively pitched. Because I'll tell you this: the kids on TikTok that are communists may not be right about all that stuff in their views on communism, but they sure are impressive in the view counts. Mm-hmm. And that's a bigger deal than people seem to think it is. I am not a political TikTok person. I tend to get on there to do just hilarious stuff and see my friends make funny videos. Trying to get this book branding up. Branding's important. But I'd say probably 6 or 7 hours, there's some random, you know, communist TikToker whose stuff got into my feed somehow.
Bless the algorithm. Thank you, China.
All my y'alls isn't all communists, but yeah.
Look, I'm gonna get his ass. All right, you Look, it's gonna be the pick or the card, comrade. And dudes come in on the first.
Oh.
Oh. We call this the struggle session. Now get your ass out here.
Well, but Empton, and I want to get to that point, that middle point he has there, of that the right wing labels anything that's not, with them as communist. That's also part of their branding. Like their branding is like anything to the left of us is too liberal, and they sell that. Well, I'm not telling you anything to the right of you is a bigot, but you have to have some extremity.
We need to start leaning into our strengths as the actual left wing and the counter to the right wing that's now really gun ho, dedicated to Christian nationalism. They are just diving deep into it. Like balls are just sweating with that shit. It's horrible. And I just said that shit.
And part of your problem is y'all embrace the atheists so hard that you started to hate the church. And guess what? People don't forget that shit.
Oh
yeah, they don't.
There are plenty of people right now who are really only pissed at you because officially y'all hated Jesus.
It was a different time.
Hey, you're not having to convince me on this. I understand. I'm just telling you that's what the marketplace is.
We need to follow the glorious road, G, then, aren't we? Just brand this motherfucker good.
or you do something provocative. You start telling people Jesus was a communist.
Look, there's a segment of that's valid, but those mega communists might have made that boat sail, unfortunately.
No, you start saying Jesus was a communist, you start using a Arab-looking Jesus as opposed to this.
Hi.
Oh, what you doing Sunday?
Pay me.
No, don't do it.
I'm thinking of going as him for Halloween.
Definitely don't do that one.
Why not?
I want you to think about the amount of people you're offending with that.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm doing it.
Including me, for that matter.
Damn it. Fine.
I'll get the gimp out for you too. You start misbehaving.
Fine, I'll go as my secondary Halloween costume.
No.
I'll tell you guys.
He's gonna be the train from that one movie you had us watch.
What?
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
He's gonna
dress
up
be in the train.
He's gonna be the train.
The whole train, not Chris character.
No, it's the train.
What the fuck does that even mean?
You gonna look like a fucking dystopia Thomas the Train Engine and shit.
Dystopian.
I just said what I said. I like it.
Yeah,
better.
I was wrong.
It was incorrect, but I think it sounded a lot better.
No.
That's why it's not hot in here. It's hot in here. I just did that to fuck with you because I know you hate that song.
No, I don't hate that song. You're just wrong.
I thought you did. I could have swore that.
No. I actually kind of like some Nelly songs.
Look, I'm proud about that. And after this, we're going to go down a country road and hang out. But,
nah, that song sucks.
Now I throw my shoe at him. But
I don't give a fuck.
Here's the thing. It's really just a conflict I have and like trying to figure out where to move forward and where to put my energy as someone that does organizing work and where I find my best place suitable. And if that really goes towards the perceived angle. But other than that, I'm up to being wrong. Shit. That's kind of what you do here. Neoliberalism no longer uses alienation of labor. It doesn't even occur. People dive eagerly to work until they burn out. We idolize and glorify hustle culture as society.
Mm-hmm.
See, none of that's wrong. But there is
change is coming because of the Gen Zs who are just like, yeah, we're not doing this shit.
But like that's the thing. Like our generation, dog, is there's a surge there that can really kick this up a notch. And I'm wondering how legitimate that next wave is coming in. Because when you look at the Republicans' viability with the next generation, through most polls, even the polls that are used online, where they're more likely to run into it, it's gone.
Pun intended.
So
it's tanking.
All you have is what we have in Colorado, where honestly the Democrats are fully in control of all state, Senate, governorship, all aspects of political power. You don't
want the real answer to this. I'm about to break your heart then.
Hold on a second. Before we break my heart, just let me finish this, because with the Democrats just becoming the obvious next bad guy villain, it makes it easier to foment a leftist agitation against liberals when the right is not a bigger threat than what it could appear to be, where the liberals can scare regular people into voting blue no matter who.
And you two don't realize that
I'll put the furry cuffs on, Daddy.
you're about to become the new conservatives. And that's the true cause. That's the true consequence of the masses being sedated. There will always be what we consider now arch conservative, extremists. But as you see, they're shrinking in number. You're the new right. Terrifying, isn't it?
That's where
to know that what's happening is not you're not moving. You're not going to suddenly become that tomorrow. But as the ideas get more acceptance than the people, your positions are going to be considered more and more conservative, unless you particularly actively choose to become more and more liberal. But the line is going to start moving because America abhors a vacuum just like space and power.
That's the main thing. Like, we're like, again, he's not wrong. In the chat, Edmonton, he talking about the Democrats, but my thing is, with the ultra right losing its teeth and essentially, especially if it collapsed into this factionalism we keep talking about between Trump, DeSantis, and the quote unquote centrist responsible Republicans.
Before you go into that,
okay, good.
What is the right currently?
Well,
they're religious extremists, ethnostatists.
Mm-hmm.
The conservatives want white Christian power, basically, right? That's the bulk of their leadership. I'm not saying it's all of it, but that's the bulk of their leadership.
True.
Pence saying that that there's no freedom from religion in America is ridiculously on point in this particular scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened to all the fiscal conservatives? Because they didn't all convert. What happened to all the Tea Partiers? Because they didn't all become Republicans. What happens to the libertarians that don't care about religion? There are atheist libertarians.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to them? They become Democrats.
Yeah.
And the Democrats become the new Republicans.
And that's my thing, where if that change does occur, I think it gives us a stronger ability to take that vacuum that will occur from the right basically eating itself and no longer being viable with the younger generation, depending on how much that swings, by the way. But at this current projection I have, again, this is all projection, analyzing, just, theorizing, just overall what if scenarios. But I'm wondering if, again, I use Colorado as an example because that's the best I have, is I noticed once the liberals took over completely, like, especially with this recent election, like I think Lauren Boebert lost, or she got really close to it. So her legitimacy tanked with that, even if she didn't lose. This state went fucking blue. We're a Democrat-run state. But locally, you have a lot of opposition groups forming against the Democrats that are left-wing adjacent. Either that's the soft, DSAs who are afraid of collapse. My party that's really entrenched in the union movement and leading strikes and doing all kinds of other stuff behind the scenes, especially with Starbucks. And of course, you got little other like local community groups that are really out there doing big stuff for people and really helping out. I'm wondering if with that break and with that status quo forming of a de facto Democrat party, we'll see a growth of what I'm seeing here locally of, well, the Republicans aren't a threat. If not, they're a minority that could be easily repressed. So we need to start attacking liberals and start working against liberals. And I've seen that here locally. As a matter of fact, that's why I keep bringing up a couple elected officials that were DSA left adjacent people that won elections here locally, who are outright either socialist or fellow travelers in a strong sense. And hopefully their political career balances out to their political beliefs, because that's always up in the air what they're actually able to achieve. But with the growth of that, there is a chance for an effective power base to answer the contradictions of like what is more viable. Because even if we get to the stage of armed revolution against the state, quote unquote, from theory and left wing talk, we kind of still need a base of community, and at this moment presently the wider left doesn't have that. And it's until we build this initial power base either through electoral politics or the freedom community work, I think that will give us the grounds to build legitimacy and us to develop either a strong political chance or give us the ability to, if we have to, do a defense with the people in support of us, and not them. What will essentially happen now is just, hey, yo, I got 5 of them on my Facebook. Yo, I know where they live.
Yep.
So.
And I can't even argue with him. He's like, yeah, Ganja, one DOG investigation letter in the news headline about how local rising star politician has ties to the Chinese Communist Party and your movement is quashed. You say that, but dude, there's someone in Florida that got elected on lifting the embargo on Cuba.
Well, but that's just it. Like, certain things don't have the same hit they used to. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to continue to deteriorate. But, and I hate bringing this up, but it's a thing that has to be talked about. And we can probably end with that because we're almost 2.5 hours at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a deep one.
What happens when the Democratic Party gets too big tent?
I mean, if you see what happened
in
the 60s, it collapsed.
It happens twice in American history. And the thing that happens is really straightforward. The Southern strategy was the second time. But that's when they all became Republicans by dealing with the civil rights movement. Before that, it was Reconstruction, where they accepted all of the non-landowning white Northerners that agreed with them on on economic issues of the party. When they get too big of a tent, they split. And both times, it has led to a revitalization of the Republicans. So Empton is right. Yes, there is going to be a big deal of straight up Republican resurgence at different points, depending on who gets kicked out of the Democrat tent. Because they're not going to go further left. They're going to go back to the right. Because those two parties were designed to stay in that position. Mm-hmm. The question is, what can you accomplish before that has to kind of almost naturally occur? And I think there's a lot to accomplish that can be done. But y'all have to be bold. And I like you. You're my boy. We in this together. But y'all aren't bold enough. And I'm talking about the full gamut of leftist progressives. Folks that are, Bernie Sanders and further left. Mm-hmm. Y'all aren't bold. I don't mean throw a brick through a window, black bloc protest bold. I mean legitimately find a candidate who's viable and don't need to have your names on it as communists to help get them elected so they can get the policies you want through. To really take it out to the rural communities that would probably side with you if they weren't being told the most horrible things about communism at every turn. Because the moment you say China to a farmer in the middle of Kansas who's growing wheat, they're pissed. For good reason, because that factory farm with ties to China is keeping their wheat prices artificially low. Mm-hmm. So they can't feed their family the way they should be. They look at Trump as a savior because he was buying American fun. No, he wasn't.
I mean, he's telling people he was.
But he rattled the saber and said it. Mm-hmm. Well, y'all might have to rattle some sabers.
And that's what I'm noticing here locally. It's easier to do once the liberals are essentially the status quo.
But the liberals aren't. You know, I always make that joke about it. Every once in a while, I have to drag their things kicking and screaming to whatever the next thing is. They're always going to kick and scream as you drag them to progress. Do it anyway.
No, that's what I'm agreeing with you. That's essentially what I'm saying is once they become the de facto status quo, it's easier to drag
Before that, there's no need to wait. Yo, we want nationwide marijuana decriminalization.
We do.
I'm just saying, like that. Let's say that's the thing you want. Let's say that was priority number 4, right? Number 3, I mean, healthcare, obviously. Number 2, I mean, rights for everybody to love who they love, no matter their sexual orientation or gender identity. And number 1, like some semblance of like racial equity and equality. Let's say those are your 4 things you want. You want those 4 things. Okay, so openly start attacking the candidates that don't support that. I love Michelle Obama, but she clarified her statements on the when they go low, we go high. She was not saying don't engage with the people who are coming after you and defend yourself. She said herself. She said, don't make yourself be like them to try and accomplish something. It's okay to like, hey, this Republican is mad at communists, but doesn't want to help out sick people and says they're Christian. Like, you start pointing out hypocrisies, and what does America love to do? Tear you down about your hypocrisies. Ben Affleck came out and said he was supporting the Me Too movement. They're like, yo, didn't you grab a titty back in 1997 on camera? I think
Batman out.
Yeah, he stopped being Batman over it and went to rehab.
And that's only partly due to jail.
You ever gone to rehab for titty?
Never gone to rehab.
Give it time.
You'll be to rehab before I do, buddy.
So, like that's what I'm saying. Like, you've got. It's one thing to support the positive stuff, but if your change is going to happen, you got to be able to counterpunch tactics. But the right way to tactics requires a much longer conversation, which the folks can get if they, find us in our various places. Because we're not going to keep talking about it here.
No, I already said too much for the DOJ to finally arrest my ass. But this one I tried to dance around. I gave up. But
Ali, God, where can they find y'all?
You can find me when I'm not being chased by NSA, DOJ, or DEA. My Twitter at Red Ganja Guru until Elon Musk finds out about my Antifa affiliations, and then I get cancelled off that. So I'm working on a Mastodon and Instagram apparently for the next round. Let you know when I get those logins. But again, of course, always check me out on the chat tag almost every day of the week. Do shows late in the evening, and we even got the after hours where we hang out with a bunch of people that watch our show. That's coming up later tonight. So if you guys are gonna be there, I'll check you out. And if not, we got Diaz and we got a bunch of people there that are cool people to hang out with and watch movies with. Alan?
All right, then.
Tell them.
If you want to follow me,
tell them about your tip.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna tell them about that. They can find out if they pay me. There. No, if they pay me. Anyway, check me out.
Tell them about your Ruby Ridge.
No, where I'm yelling at video game companies, and also the chat tag where I'm mostly yelling at Nick, who's yelling at me about video game companies. So it's a weird, fucked up cycle that I live in. But yeah, be sure to check me out anywhere there.
And of course, Ruthless. If you ever want to be found, how could they find you?
Hold on, I have to comment back and agree with Intent by saying that the only true future is my future.
I submitted already. I don't give a fuck. After I had to fight, communist Joker and Spanky the Tanky Riddler, me in a gold ass outfit fighting reactionaries does not sound far fetched anymore.
Exactly. Join the Imperial Men. We actually have more than cookies. We actually have steaks too. So
I mean, sometimes I can lie to myself about North Korea. I can lie to myself about the Imperium.
There you go. At least you won't be. At least you really won't be lying to yourself because you know how I am about these things.
I just know that. Look, trust the plan. He just needs a little bit of money.
Just a little faith, Arthur. So, if you must find me, you can actually find me now on basically all social media except for Twitter as The Ruthless Wonder. That's Instagram, that's TikTok, that's Facebook. Coming soon to Hive, apparently. And of course, you can find me on Twitter as The Ruthless #1 DER. That's The Ruthless #1 DER. I am not everywhere. I am only in select places. Please sure to check out Toxic Tuesdays, where I do toxic poetry on Tuesdays on TikTok. Really fun, loving it. Got some great responses. I had to take this week off for a lot of reasons. We'll just get to that in the day. And yeah, I think that's it for our, of course, Fourth Horseman M10, our new team of editors coming in soon.
Who I insulted early in the podcast. I'll come up with a different animal to compare you to.
Yeah, or don't.
Or just don't. Just don't.
I'll stay away from the grape apes. I got you.
Don't.
I said grape apes. I mean grape.
Just end the fucking podcast.
Damn it.
That's a wrap, folks.
This has been the Illuminati Podcast. We are in control. See you next time.